Like to call the committee to order. I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the home of the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. Do I have motions today to pass the minutes of the last meeting?
Yeah, June 23rd, June 26th, and July 17th. I move that they be taken as read and confirmed.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And we have, how many delegations do we need?
Just before delegations, we do have the Residents Advisory.
Oh, right.
As well.
Right. Councilor Broad, would you like to move that as well?
Sure. Does the clerk receive those? I know we received them
Correct.
directly.
That was included on that email.
Oh, okay, very good. I'll move that then.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The delegations.
So we do have 3 delegations registered today. First, we have Jim Smith to be heard with respect to Communities Fund Grant, Elmwood Curling Club, Report 12.
Come on.
Come forward, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation.
And we can give you extensions. Morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm certainly in support of the community grant for the Elmwood Curling Club. Their roof is not in the best of shape and it needs work. And the longer it, I guess, is postponed, the more severe the problem could be. Of course, the Elmwood Curling Club goes back before actually Elmwood was part of the city of Winnipeg, back to 1911. And so it has a very historical presence in the area. And unfortunately, over the years, last number of years, other curling clubs in the area, it's the only one left in all of Northeast Winnipeg. Rossmere closed a few years ago. Of course, Transcone, I'm not sure how many years ago that was. And and even just across the river, West Kildonan closed due to big expenses they just didn't have the money to pay for. So curling is a very inclusive sport. Anybody can belong to it, regardless of their background, their ethnic origin. And I think it's an important part of the community. My family, my grandfather was, my family generally was heavily involved in the club. He had the international, my grandfather was at the international level, at the national level, the federal, the provincial, and the local in terms of a community builder. His number of pictures of him around the club, so it's an important place for me. I've never curled there myself. I did curl 1 year, but I think it's a very important place and it needs all the support they can get. Plus, with these other curling clubs that have closed over the years, people think that it might be just that we're aware of. It might just be a curling club for people that live around there. And of course, there's a lot of rental. I know there's 2 rental leagues from the Transcona ward, for example. There's other ones that primarily people that live in the North Kildonan ward and from other areas of the city. So it's not just an Elmwood or East Kildonan rink. So this is that they've been trying their best in order to, stay in business. I think there's something like close to 600 curlers the last year that I'm aware of, with all the different things. So it is a mass appeal and anybody can go to the club. Anybody can even come into the club. It's not restricted. Some clubs, you can't enter the door unless you're a member, you're curling there. But Elmwood Curling Club is not like that. There's a fine restaurant that opens during the curling season that anybody can come. You can come and sit down and watch. And so I think that it is deserving of community support.
Thanks, Jim. Any questions?
Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate your advocacy here.
Thank you.
Would you move suspension of the rules, Councilor Broad, to deal with it right
So
away?
moved,
We're going to
yeah.
deal with it right away, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait. Item 12.
Yeah, the request is for $42,000. Former Councillor Shire was actually apprised of this one and was supportive. I've spoken to Chris Hurley, who is still working in the Elmwood East Kildonan office on this matter. As Jim did point out, it is the Northeast / Curling Club, and I know with the closure of Rossmere, a lot of leagues and that have moved over to Elmwood, and a lot of people from North Kildonan do curl there as well. So based on that, I'd like to move $24,000 from the Elmwood East Kildonan.
42, you mean?
Sorry, no, 24 from Elmwood East Kildonan and 18 from North Kildonan.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
from the Communities Fund of the Community Incentive Grant Program.
Per capita grant.
Sorry, per capita grant. Thank you, Brandon. Yes. About 4 or 5 years ago, they needed a major upgrade to the ice plant. It was negligibly profitable. They actually turned the area into a year-round golf sim shack. They've got like 4 or 5 bays of golf simulators, the latest, greatest ones that were available 4 or 5 years ago, and they have winter golf leagues in there, and it's been quite popular and more profitable.
Sounds good. Check it out.
Yes.
Thank you.
So 24 from Elwood East Kildonan, 18 grand from North Kildonan through the per capita grant using the Communities Fund.
Sounds good. And that equals 42.
Yes.
Right on. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Jim. Bye. Okay, next delegation.
Next delegation, we have John Scott Winthrop to be heard in support of non-conforming approach 622 McIver Avenue, Report 3.
Morning, John. How are you?
Morning. Well, I did
Good
submit
to see you.
good to see you too. I did submit a presentation in here. I'm not sure if the word council would like me to go through it. But if you look at the presentation that was provided, there are a number of front approaches along McIver, especially this block here. I've been working on this house for a couple of years now. I've done a short form subdivision as well as variances. I've submitted a demolition permit, which was just issued, I think, on Friday. It's been a process to get that. I've submitted development permits. We're hoping to have those issued any day now. We do need, there's an existing front approach onto McIver. We're looking for a new approach. We've split this lot from 100 to 250s. So there's going to be 2 new houses. I've talked to the neighbors. I've mapped out any kind of city catch basements, lights, hydrants. There's no trees. There's no city infrastructure being impacted by this new driveway. And if you look through the slide deck there, so overall, we're looking to move forward with one new non-conforming approach. It'll match all the other houses along that street. The back lane that's to the south of it really serves to the houses that went in sometime after this. This is probably one of the older houses on the block. It was 100-foot wide. All the other lots are around 50, fronting McIver, and then the street to the south. I think that went in the late 80s. They're quite considerably smaller lots. I want to say off the top of my head, like 35s or something like that. They're like 100 feet, 120 feet deep, I think. They're smaller lots. Yeah, they're smaller lots with a back lane. I think it was a small infill development done in the late 80s, if I recall, looking at the maps and stuff like that. So they use the back lane exclusively. Nobody along McIver. They all have front driveways. So we think it fits with the area and it's compatible.
Oh, so it's the issue of it being non-conforming is because there is.
Yeah, there's a back lane. Yeah.
That's fine.
But I think that went in well after this house was constructed.
Yeah.
And after all the other houses
Yeah.
along McIver were constructed. Like I said, I think in the late 80s.
Well, it doesn't look like there's one house. I mean, it looks like, yeah, they all have front approaches, but some may actually have stuff.
Yeah, some have a double approach, with
Yeah.
using the back lane as well, but all of them have front approaches.
Good. Okay, yeah, I have no issue with that one.
Want to deal with it now, Jim?
Sure, I'll move suspension of rules to deal with report number 3.
Favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'll agree with the public service recommendation that this application be approved by the Almonte East Kildonan Transco Community Committee. The reasons for this are it is consistent with the other homes on McIver Avenue that all have front approaches. And replacing the existing home here is very much desirable by the neighborhood.
Sounds good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And just a second motion to concur with the recommendation. It's 2 motions in.
Okay, I move to concur with the recommendation.
Thanks.
All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
My supporting reasons were as stated.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. I noticed some new faces in the gallery. Is there anybody else here who wants to speak in delegation?
Oh, we do have one more person registered. We have Kyle Roche registered to speak. I hope I pronounced that right.
Speak in delegation. They have to let the clerk know. Yes. Hello, how are you?
I am well.
What item are you here on, sir?
Louise Bridge, report 14.
Okay, very good. Go
Hi,
ahead, sir.
hi guys. First time listener, first time caller, long time listener though. It's nervous. I'm already stumbling over my words. I'm not fully certain what exactly the report will be discussing here about the Louise Bridge is, but I'm a candidate for council in Elmwood East Kildonan in the upcoming by-election, and I wanted to bring some of the concerns of the constituents that I'm hearing. If I were to quote them verbatim, I'd probably be thrown out of here for violating decorum. So I'll just say that they're frustrated. Many people I've been speaking to are frustrated with the situation with the Louise Bridge. The last 3 months, it was only summer, but the delays that were experienced on the Disraeli, on the Redwood, on Provencher, it has a spillover effect everywhere, down Main Street, on Waterfront. So it's been impacting people's commutes significantly. And we're looking at spending $200 million to add lanes on Kenaston to not impact those commutes, whereas we're going to close the Louise Bridge for a year at least and impact the entire east side of the city, our commutes, to save some money, I guess. And it's frustrating. It also seems we have a transit plan, a public transit plan that aims to have full 4 rapid transit routes built out within 25 years. And one of the requirements of that is a new Louise Bridge, so we can not have that bottleneck for our buses. And saying, instead of having our rapid transit system built out by 2050, we won't get it done until the new Louise Bridge after another 40 years. So 2075, maybe, if we're lucky. It would be
Thank
nice
you
to
very
get a new bridge down.
All right, Mr. Rochelle, was there anything else you'd like to add? Any questions for the delegation?
Any thoughts on the finances and how it's been paid for?
There's money out there. There is ways of financing things. Adding those 2 other lanes on Kenaston is about equivalent to what this new bridge would be. We do need those lanes on Kenaston. We do. We need the Chief Peguis extension. We could build 4 Louise Bridges for that, apparently. The Louise Bridge and the rapid transit corridors, I did want to add this point, were ranked higher in our unfunded capital projects than the Chief Peguis trail extension is. So that, are they a higher priority or are they not?
Are you aware that even without widening Kenaston, that the St. James bridges
Yes.
over the Assiniboine River
Yes,
are at a desperate point where we're
absolutely.
gonna have to do them even if we're not widening Kenaston?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I understand the logic there. I understand the work.
I'm a Northeast Winnipeg guy, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
I'm also the finance chairs.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate that. I have a few ideas on where I'm going there. I'm working those out as I keep talking with folks. Hopefully we can set up a meeting at some point, and because I understand the finances are difficult as well.
Thank you.
Are you aware of the Council Bawadi's point? Are you aware that previously the rapid transit debt was being covered off by a 0.25% property tax increase?
Third.
A third? Oh, it's even higher.
0.33, wasn't it?
I thought it was 0.25, but maybe you're right. And that covered approximately $450 million. Do you foresee the Louise Bridge, in the reports you've read, costing $450 million to build? Probably not.
What the rate of construction inflation has been, and if we continue kicking this can down the road, it could end up being in that ballpark. I believe it was $250 5 years ago to do the full 6-lane build out.
All I'm saying is that we figured out how to finance that debt. We can figure out how to finance, and more than one generation benefits from it. So more than one generation should pay. But anyway, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming today, and all the best to you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes those we had registered to speak in delegation.
And we have any other individuals in the gallery? Yes, sir. Do you wish to speak in delegation?
Yeah, Braden Mazurkiewicz. I'm also running for council in Elmwood.
I'll move substantially the rules to hear the additional delegation.
So moved. All in favor?
And sorry, which item was that to speak to?
I'm going to speak on the Louise Bridge.
Number 14.
Thank you for suspending the rules to allow me to speak here today. My name is Braden Mazurkowicz. I'm running to be the city councillor in Elmwood East Kildonan. I also today am going to speak about the Louise Bridge project that's been getting its can kicked down the road as my opponent stole my tagline. I agree with him actually. This project has been kicked down the road, and I'm happy that he showed up here today alongside me to speak on this subject. I don't know why the other opponents in this race haven't showed up to stand up for the people of Elmwood East Kildonan here today. Maybe they slept in, I don't know. This bridge was a high priority at the city level in the late 2000s, like 2008, 2009, and now it's not. I don't know why. Maybe the people down here, the downtown elites, had other projects they'd rather work on. But it's high time that we are not treated as second-class citizens in Elmwood East Kildonan anymore. We have lacking investment from the city down here. Most of our money flows south. They're getting a brand new $100 million rec complex. There's pickleball courts and tracks being built all over the city while we suffer and are treated like second-class citizens. It's not fair. And all summer long, because of these delays, the bridge was closed May 23rd for routine inspection. Just to find out that all summer long, the city has missed 2 deadlines to reopen that bridge. And if it wasn't for me, the squeaky grease in the can, getting that bridge open, we probably wouldn't be without a bridge today. At the end of July, I spoke with some members here at City Hall, and nothing had been started. A few days later, there was, I guess, maybe Councillor Brawadi can tell me about this. I don't know how it got started, but they were starting to work on evenings and weekends to get that bridge open, simply to keep me out of the race. So it's unfortunate that I had to step up and stand up to call the people down here to get the repairs going. And I'm happy that the bridge is open now, but we can't be without this for the next couple of summers. This is a main artery to get people from Northeast Winnipeg to St. Boniface Hospital, HSC, and with the Disraeli backed up and Bravanche overloaded when this bridge is closed, it's harder to get this life-saving artery, get people over it. So I would like the city to get the Louise Bridge put back up to the top of the priority list to get done, and so we can stop getting ripped off in Northeast Winnipeg. Unlike the downtown elites, we don't have 4 lanes of traffic each way without going over rail line or water. In order to commute downtown, we need to go over rail line and water, unlike the other people down here at City Hall. So in May 2024, Jason Schreier spoke at the Public Works Committee of the importance of the new Louise Bridge. And I am fully supportive of his plan to get the bridge done. Now, Jeff asked my opponent about how we're going to get the money. Yes. Councillor Brawadi said, or asked my opponent how we're going to get the money. And I do believe we need some investment from other levels of government, perhaps a Triple P project. I'm not 100% sure, but the bridge needs to get done no matter what. We can't be without this life-saving artery again next summer, the summer after that, or in 10 years from now. Thank you very much for hearing me, and I look forward to any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mazurkowicz. Any questions, Councilor Brawadi?
No, he already addressed the one I was going to throw at him, so fair enough.
As the chair of finance, that's a good responsible thing to do.
So when you say get the bridge done, what do you mean?
We need the bridge done the way Jason Schreier envisioned it. We need to get the bridge. So build a new bridge next to it as that one remains open, because again, it is a life-saving artery to get people to hospital in case of an emergency.
So a replacement bridge of which I think the administration priced out at 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you're referring to?
That's exactly what I'm referring to. Yes, sir.
Right. And you're aware that council elected, I think, last year to continue on with the existing bridge, I think, for some time.
I believe they wanted to kick the can down the road another 40 years.
Right. So you're
which
right.
is unacceptable. Absolutely not. I hope to join you folks down here so we can get this a top priority at City Hall. And I would actually encourage Councillor Brawadi and Councillor Wyatt at this meeting to put it at the top of the agenda for the 2026 finance budget, capital budget.
Well, thank you. I was the one who put this on the agenda.
I saw the lack of report. I'm like, okay.
When I heard from residents in my area who were upset with another delay. And I wasn't expecting candidates to come from the area, but it's nice to hear. And so it is an issue on the doorstep.
Oh my God, Russ, if I, Councillor Wyatt, Councillor Chairman Wyatt, Councillor Wyatt, if it wasn't for the people at the doors or the people calling my phone, because I have a phone number you can call. I mean, they're pissed, to be frank.
And what are you hearing? Like, what are the residents in the area saying?
That Sutherland was backed up, that the Disraeli was backed up all summer. They couldn't get over the bridge. One guy had to get his wife to a hospital, and he had to wait on Provenche during a backup. So, yeah, it's dangerous the way that the city's left it,
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate.
There's a real crossing on Bravant Street.
Yeah.
Again,
The elites down here don't have rail crossings or water to go over to get downtown.
some of them don't. Some do.
Right.
Mayor doesn't, I don't think. But no, it's a good point. And so you want to see us move? You would like to see us move a resolution for the Louise Bridge to be reconsidered in the 2026 capital budget for the purpose of constructing a replacement bridge spans, which is 4.
That's exactly what I'm asking for, Chairman Wyatt.
Okay. And that is why I put it on the agenda. So,
I appreciate that, and so do the residents of Elmwood East Caldona.
yeah, you know, it's just a big issue. And I think the other thing too that we forget is, well, we don't forget it at this committee, because we've approved all the different developments. But there's been a heck of a lot of growth in Northeast Winnipeg. We have thousands of new tax rolls. Those new tax rolls technically probably have what, 1.5 vehicles per household or something to that effect. So for every tax roll, we got a vehicle and a half being added to the area and potentially commuting. Not to mention all the major industry in Northeast Winnipeg, including Transcona. We have New Flyer, Griffin Steel, Motor Chemical. We have major industries. We have rush hour in both directions, actually, much like the U of M going down Pembina. So it's really becoming an acute issue. So I want to thank you for coming here today. Was there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, I appreciate you guys for allowing me to speak today and suspending the rules, so that the people of Elmwood East Caldona can have their voice heard. And and after October the 25th, I hope to be the person to join you on this committee so we can get some good things done for the people of Northeast Winnipeg.
We'll leave that up to the good and wise people of Elmwood East Caldona. It's all the best to you, Mr. Zurkowicz.
Appreciate it.
Right on. Thank you for coming forward, sir. Any other delegations?
That concludes delegations.
Okay, we'll jump right into the regular agenda, I guess. Councilor Brawadi,
Yes.
would you like to deal with item 1?
Yes, please. Give it. Mr. Patman.
Oh, David, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm well, back from vacation. In fact, thanks for coming down. No problem. So I'm here to talk to a verbal update on the on report item 1, which is the ongoing saga of the connecting to Fernbank with the trailer park. So
You received this as information.
We did. I guess the Public Works was supposed to perhaps deal with it differently, but it's
Oh,
back
right.
here.
Yeah,
Public Works. I don't have it in Public Works.
we're working in
Okay,
fact.
control that. To remove the monthly report, Public Works had to do something, and I guess they didn't, so it's back here.
Well,
That's why. Okay, interesting.
what had happened was it was moved to cease the public reports,
Right.
but to come back or this would be the final report.
Okay.
Based on the original motion.
There you go. Well,
Okay, well,
we're happy you're here.
I enjoy coming to these meetings, but I also want to use the city's resources efficiently.
Yes.
So where this is at, this is still in a holding pattern. The issue being, I can go through this very briefly to just explain where things are at. In July 2019, there was an approval of the rezoning subject to one of the clauses being that the developer shall at no expense to the city relocate the existing approaches to tie into the Fairbank at the signal there. We have been working with the developers consultants, and we now have a estimated cost for the project, the class 3 estimate. It's $672,000 to complete this.
Wow.
The resources that we've received from the developer, they've been able to make this available to this, is only $350,000. So there's a difference there of approximately $322,000 that has to be made up. There's internal discussion going on about how to make this up. Should the city pay for this? Some say yes, we can use. One idea has been to reassign resources from the Road Safety Improvement Program. However, that's quite a significant hit to that program. Usually, a whole set of signals is only $250,000. That's sort of ballpark. This one is a lot larger because there's some hydro relocates that have to be done. You're building a new approach to the intersection as well. Like you're building this connection to the trailer park to allow for the sweet path of bringing those big trailers.
Right.
And so there's also some sidewalk modifications, some rewiring of the existing signals.
So sorry for interrupting. So it's actually not properly labeled, I guess, the item on the agenda. It's really a bigger project. It's involved.
I guess my question is, I mean, if all these aspects are to deal with the trailer park, I mean, why, the point was if the city needed to do some upgrading at the same time, that those costs would be absorbed by taxpayers. Everything else, hydro relocates, everything else that should be required to comply with that motion should be paid for by the owners of the trailer park. I don't understand why they would not be paying for, I mean, again, if we had a 2006 circuit board controlling those lights and we needed to upgrade to a 2025 one, yes, the taxpayers on the hook for that piece of it. But again, like a whole new signal is $250,000. Everything else, like if it's a geometry for moving trailers in and out, that's not a taxpayer issue.
No.
That was a condition of them expanding.
We've broken this down.
Rezoning.
Yeah, we've broken this down. We've got all the costs figured out. It's just that I think there's been sticker shock in terms of it. We thought this was going to be just add a leg. It could only be small because it's become such a large expense. No one's got the resources to pay for it. So
Most of the approach work on their land.
yeah, most of the approach is on their land.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And are they prepared to pay them?
They're prepared to pay, like they've said they've got $350,000 towards this project, but that's not sufficient to complete the project. So
And what percentage of the lights were they going to be responsible for?
it was just at no cost to the city, they would tie into the signal.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So if they don't want to do this, they are no longer compliant with the motion that was there. Does that mean rezoning reverts back, or how do we go back?
No, the trouble is they've already made the changes to the trailer park. I believe this is
But
already
this was a condition
forward.
of that approval.
Some glitches have happened, and I'm not throwing anyone on the bus, but the trailer park has expanded. There's currently access along Main there. The idea is that relocating it to the signal makes it the safest possible. Like that's the desired solution. We can't finish the project until we have the resources to pay for it. And how do we pay for it?
Is something like this eligible for an LI? Would they be eligible to do an LI on their land? Almost a LID, I guess, in a sense.
It's unclear. Like we talked internally about what the solutions are and different
Because
things.
then an LID could be amortized.
Yeah.
They could pass it along to their trailer park clients, right, who live there, in terms of the lot rental rate.
We could throw that in as an alternative. Like all we have is we have a report that's ready to go, but during the review process before it goes into the RIS, as part of that, it's being reviewed by the CEO's office, and the financial part of this is being sort of a stumbling block.
I should add to the conversation. I was approached this summer and had a meeting with the condo association directly to the south of the Fernback right away on the east side of Main Street. The way their internal road is structured, there's actually a location where they could actually have an access to, like very close by to Fernbank. They have significant concerns making a left-hand southbound turn onto Main Street. They expressed an interest of having an exit potentially from their condo development. It's a bungalow development with 30 odd, 32 or 37 bungalow condos.
Would the trailer park be able to tie into that?
It would be technically the little, yes, it would actually
They
be,
linked together.
it would be the condos that would be linking into the trailer parks improvements, if you
Oh,
will.
I see. Okay, all right.
And there's a piece of city-owned land there right now. There's a
There's a right of way.
There's a right of way of sorts there that the condos are expressing an interest. If it was to be done as an LI, for example, perhaps the condominium corporation would be amenable to picking up a portion of that additional cost as well as
Yeah.
potentially.
How do you want to handle this, Councilor Rawani? Do you want to expand it to do a little bit more research on it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the last, assuming Public Works have agreed to this being the last meeting on it, I think I'll take this back and I'll set up a meeting with Public Works to,
That sounds excellent. Yes.
we can deal with this on.
When you said there's an obligation here, what are you referring to?
In 2019, when the rezoning was approved for the land where the trailer park expanded, it was previously zoned as park, commercial, it was something like that.
Some of the
It wasn't zoned to be a trailer park. At that time, they wanted to have access to River Grove Drive. It was decided by the community, by,
pushback on that.
there was big pushback on that connection. So the applicant at the time agreed to, as a condition of the rezoning, have a tie-in to the signals at Fernbank so that the residents of the trailer park could enter and exit
Got a signal.
at a signal.
So that is.
And that's what we've been trying to make happen. Yeah.
That's in the zoning agreement that
Yes.
was approved?
Yeah.
Then they don't have any other alternative.
That's what I
The
look at.
trouble is, yeah, they, I think at the time, they didn't expect the cost to be such a high cost to get
And
everything
did they
done.
pursue their application and do the expansion?
Yes.
They did. Okay.
And I was a little disappointed that I was able to proceed without them finishing that obligation.
Yeah, why was there not a letter of credit posted, required to be posted on this, do you know?
It seems like, yeah, I'm not 100% on this because I was not around at the time, but it seems like they got a partial sort of a memorandum of understanding that said, well, contribute his $50,000 to start to keep the ball rolling.
So there was
And that was
$50,000.
$50,000 was considered enough to get
LLC.
started on it, yeah.
Okay, that
And
was
so
it.
it went from $50,000 to then a further $200,000 being thrown at this. So it's not that they've totally said we can't afford anything. They want to move forward with it. It's just that the cost is escalated
Right.
above what they're able to pay for. If this was a larger development, if this is like a Qualico or like a giant development in Sage Creek, we're talking about a single signal, that would be no problem. It would just be like, how many do you need type of thing. But it's such a large ask of a development. It's a trailer park.
How many acres were added to the park at the time?
I don't remember. I mean, it was probably 40, 50 trailers, I would
Right.
guess. But
Yeah. It's like a third,
yeah,
it's
it's
like
fairly,
6 added on.
yeah, it was fairly significant.
Well, what's your will here? What?
Well, today I'm going to move to receive this as information.
And
Oh, I see. It actually combined. We're going back to quarterly.
The intent, I believe, was just this year.
Oh, I see. Ah, yes. Okay. Okay. Yes, it was January. You're right. Okay. So I'll move to. I think we had figured at that time that this was well underhand and this would be done this season. So
did you want to give, do you suggest any kind of verbiage to go to Public Works to give direction on this, Dave? Or
It sounded like you wanted us to go, like there was an idea of this offline discussion with
I think at this point,
condo
let's-
group to the south.
yeah,
Like,
let's.
see if that's a possible solution.
I'll keep it informal for now. If we need to bring this back to a public venue again, it felt like over the last 5-6 years this has been going on. There was a period of time where I felt that the applicant was perhaps not moving expeditiously and hiring their engineering consultant in times where I wasn't sure the public service was giving it the priority I think the residents felt it needed. So that's why I brought it forward in a public forum because I felt it was not moving. And again, we're still 6 years later and it's not constructed. At this point, I'm gonna at this time just reboot to receive this information. If I feel it needs to be brought back into a public forum like this, I will bring forward another motion.
So moved, all in favor?
Aye.
Both carried. Dave, before you go, I have an item for new business regarding the Doodle Road capital project that's underway. Are you able to stay a little bit longer? Are you
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit? We should be able to get through the other items on the agenda pretty quick.
Okay, I'll stick around.
You want to move suspension, deal with it now?
Sure, while you're here,
I'll
sure.
move suspension rules to deal with an item in new business.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed, carried. It's basically Dougal Road. I'd like to move a motion that the current capital project underway, this would be a motion going to Public Works, include in its scope the complete repaving of the existing South Transcona Community Path on the north side from Plessy Road to its
The AT pathway.
the AT path to its existing terminus, which is, I think, approximately just slightly east of Borden Avenue. And also, number one, number two, that a pedestrian half signal be installed on Dougal Road at Borden Avenue to allow for the safe access for the community, or what's often referred to as the hamlet of South Transcona. There's young people who live there, there's seniors, to get to the north side of Dougal Road where the South Transcona Community Path is. So I'd like to move that. I don't have any numbers on that cost. I saw some previous reports where a half signal was $125,000. I'm hearing it could be more, could be less. I don't know. And I'm not too sure what that would be, but I believe the overall project's about 4.9 million. Is that right? I think we're in Merck.
That rings a bell. Yeah.
Isabel, yeah. So 4.9 million. In the scope of things, I think this is minor. And I'll probably, when is Public Works? When is their standing committee meeting?
They'll be on the 11th.
Yeah.
All right, very good. So
Okay.
probably some residents will do a petition and come to the standing committee of Public Works as well. So any kind of support you could lend, Dave, or any advice or suggestions would be very helpful.
Okay, I'll take that back and talk to staff that those two things are linked together, obviously for the AT users, but the two separate things. I'll take a look and see if there's any sort of timing already established for repairing that pathway, because I know I talked to Chris Baker on it, and he mentioned that he was aware of some condition issues with it.
Yes, I spoke to Scott Suderman, who's with WSP on Friday or Thursday last week, who said that they're planning to do certain sections, but not the entire path.
Right,
And
so
the
like-
entire path is just, it was built in about 2004.
So yeah, it's coming up for,
It's
it's getting
really,
old there as
it's
far as
in
these go.
bad shape. And then the second part is just, to take this opportunity to establish a safe crossing for pedestrians to get across the street. And Borden has a sidewalk on the west side of the street. So it ties in nicely if we were to put a signal there.
Okay, I want to talk to staff, make sure Borden's the best location. It
Sure.
might be like you move a one block or two
Maybe
Back
it's
and forth.
10, I don't know. Yeah.
but it may also require us to take a look at the speed limit along there.
Yeah.
Like there's
I agree.
also, there's a simulation there to Wilkes, where you've got speeding as you're entering the city. You're transitioning from a rural environment to the urban environment.
Right.
As this area is changing, this might be the first step in terms of it changing. Want to make sure it's a safe place for people to cross and not getting.
Until it's twinned, absolutely, it might be something to be considered. So I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you. Thanks for staying. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'll move that.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding the intent. So the recommendation would be to recommend to Public Works that the Winnipeg Public Service be directed to, and I want to make sure I have the exact location. Repave the South Transcona. Is it a multi-use pathway?
So it should be worded this way,
Okay.
that within the existing capital program referred to as Dougal Road resurfacing / Plessy Road resurfacing, which is overall budget is 14.9 million. This is about 4.9. But within that program, which is now underway, specifically to Dougal Road, that the South Transcona Community Path be repaved in its entirety as part of this capital project and the work underway now. One, and two, that a pedestrian half signal be installed on Dougal Road, ideally at Borden. as part of this capital program.
Some scope changes to that project.
Slight, recommending slight scope changes to the project. Appreciate all the work being done by the city and the consultant and the contractor. Maple Leaf, they've been doing a very good job. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I think that's it.
Thanks.
And just to confirm, Councilor Brody is in the chair.
Okay, motion's been heard. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'll give you the chair back. We'll move on
Move
to.
on now to item, we already dealt with item 4, or sorry, item 3, item 4.
Item two.
Oh, sorry, item 2, right? Yeah, okay, go ahead, Jeff.
This is just to receive this information, I believe? Correct.
Yeah.
I move to receive this as information.
Favor, opposed,
Aye.
carried.
3 is dealt with.
3 has been dealt with.
4 is an extension of time.
You wish to deal with that one?
Yeah, I'd like to know why it's taking so long, but I'll move it.
So moved. 2026, opposed, carried. Again, item 5.
Yeah, this is a kind of a neat one. There used to be a street running off Bonner Avenue called Spice Bay. What happened was sometime in the early 80s, a street called Brahms and Spice Bay were connected to each other. And it would have been odd having a street that changed name halfway through. So apparently what happened in the day was then councillors, this is the story I heard from former councillor Donald Mitchelson. Apparently,
How is he?
it sounds like he's okay. It sounds like, yeah.
Okay.
Like all of us getting older. Apparently they picked names out of a hat to determine whether they were going to keep Brahms Bay or Spice Bay.
All right.
Now the street is named after Donald Spice, who is a former North Cledonan soldier who gave his life serving our country, and he passed. And losing that street name was sort of an important piece of our history. And I'd like to thank Jim Smith and others who brought up some of that history. And speaking to staff, Spice Bay is a portable name, but apparently Donald Spice would be confusing with Donald Street and Donald McClintock and other streets that have Donald in the name. So I'm moving this motion to add to the North Cledonan, the Elmwood East Cledonan Community Committee street name list, Spice.
So moved. Opposed? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And by the way, the intention is to apply this name to the street that is being created with the subdivision of 329 McIver Avenue
Right.
with support of that applicant.
Saw that.
Okay.
Sounds good. Item number 6, would you like to move this one, Jeff, as well?
Yeah, sure. So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 7, could you also do that? This was came from another, the report wasn't ready, but we did vote on this.
Okay, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item number 8.
Grace up forward. I'm just trying to remember. Did I get an email from? One second, there's an email I have to pull up here just to make sure. Here.
Mr. Hurley?
Yeah. Okay, supporting 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. But he didn't say what 8. Or did he?
Do you wish to move 8?
Sure. So moved.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 9, same thing.
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 10.
So moved.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And just so the committee, everybody knows, we consult with the area assistant to former councillor Jason Schreier before we move these matters, so that we are tying into the community still.
Yeah.
This time where there's no councillor. Item number 11.
So moved.
So moved again. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. 12 we've dealt with. 12 already. And item 13.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor, opposed, carried. This is something that has already occurred, so we will move it on. Item number 14, the Louise Bridge.
Yes. Is there a motion here?
Well,
How am I going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it?
well, I don't. How are we paying for Kenston? How are we paying?
Yes.
I guess the same way. I would like, and I realize that it goes to the budget working group and it goes before EPC, and often these motions are not necessarily adopted. But I would appreciate, in light of what we're hearing, I would like to move, or some, if you want to take the chair, Councilor Mawani, that the Louise Bridge be reconsidered for a new strategic capital initiative. New strategic infrastructure capital initiative. That was previously contemplated, namely the construction of new spans, provide a minimum of 4 lanes in either direction, possibly more, to accommodate the growing Northeast Winnipeg community. And this is, I realize we have the chair of finance here, so I'm the former chair of finance, I know the challenges. I do recall, though, that when we created the 1-on-1, the 1% for regional, 1% for local, that there's room within the regional program to slightly include bridge works. That was what we were advised back in the day. So it may not even be a percentage increase, it just may be extending the program further on the 1-on-1 than when we had forecasted for it to go in terms of the amount of years of increasing the tax, property tax by 1%. So I think there has to be a method to expand that bridge and do it sooner rather than later. And I guess the other thing I would like to add is that, you know, there's a lot of discussion in the Globe and Mail and elsewhere that we may be in a recession or heading for one. In 2008, if you recall, the government of Canada was actively looking for capital projects that were on the shelf ready to go. And we as a city were not ready. And in many ways, we as a city are still not ready, in the sense that we tend to wait to to do all the designs and all the work into a capital project other than actually doing the work, which can take up to 10 or 20% of the overall budget. That we really should be doing projects, getting projects ready so that they're on the shelf, ready to be pulled off with all the engineering done. And at the very least, maybe that's what we could do here with the Louise Bridge. That in the event the government of Canada, what was the name of the program that Mr. Harper rolled out? Do you recall? Canada? It was Build Canada, was it? Building Canada, Build Canada, something to that effect. And, you know, they were seriously saying to us at the time, well, we need capital projects. And we didn't have any because we wait until we approve the overall capital project until we have the funds to do the engineering and the design work. We really should take a different approach to our capital projects. We should be getting the design work done now, in my view.
Chief Peg was sitting at a class 3 estimate for you, Councillor.
Well, there you go. So Chief Peg was an exception to the rule. But, you know, Louise Bridge is an example of one where we could get that going now, I hope, at the very minimum. And I think the delegations today spoke sincerely, and what they're hearing, they're on the doorstep, and they're hearing it in the community. So,
yep.
I'd like to thank the 2 candidates who are running for office for coming here today as well. So that's what I'm going to move.
Okay.
Is that clear? Was that clear as mine?
Let me take my crack at it.
Sure.
So this will go to Public Works to direct the Winnipeg Public Service, and it would be that the Louise Bridge be reconsidered for a new strategical infrastructure capital initiative that was previously contemplated, namely the construction of new spans to provide a minimum of at least 4 lanes in either direction to accommodate the growing Northeast Winnipeg community, and further that the necessary preparations take place to have the project ready to go in the event new funding opportunities arise that would allow the work to move forward.
And that both of those clauses be considered, that all of this is considered for the 2026 capital budget discussion. So this is the whole clause is being referred to that. Budget referral, yeah. And well, I think that sums it up well. I'm hoping that, you know, in light of what we're hearing in the area, that we make the priority. So thank you very much. We'll see what happens. I know it's hard for EPC to find funds. And I know there's a lot of, but we don't want another Arlington either. We don't want to a situation where we wake up one day and find out, oh, well, now the Louise has to be permanently closed. It's the oldest bridge in the city and we gotta get going on it. But anyway.
I'm going to support this motion today, just to put on the record. We do have both infrastructure and financial challenges throughout the city. Recognizing that this part of the city is continuing to grow, the challenge with older infrastructure, even when we do make significant investments in it, is that they require more frequent inspections and more frequent unplanned closures due to things that may be found during that work. So today I will be supporting that motion. It would be desirable to build a replacement structure, recognizing that it does have to be balanced with projects around the city. But as Councillor Wyatt did point out, we're going through an interesting period in terms of investments. It sounds like the federal government budget is going to be separating programs versus investments in infrastructure, and they need to be handled differently when it comes to how they're going to be funded and looked at even by the country going forward. So I think that's an encouraging sign. So at this point, I will be supporting that motion.
Thank you. If I could just speak to it, if you have the chair.
Sure.
I just want to say as well that in terms of bought time, we've done very well by this bridge. That the original designers and those that built this bridge built a heck of a good bridge because it was built in the 1880s, I believe. And this bridge has lasted us that long. We've spent time on maintaining it, but it's amazing that it's lasted this long. Compared to, let's say, the Disraeli, for example, which we had to completely replace, that was opened in the 1960s. So it speaks well that it's lasted this long, but we should not be pushing the luck. So thank you, Councillor Brewani.
Okay.
I'll move that item.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. If I get the clerk to send me a copy when it's big up a little bit. Yeah.
Sounds good. Item 15. This Elmwood EK.
I'll move it. Yeah, so moved.
Okay, all in favor, opposed, carried. Secondary plan, we're in hearing.
I actually have an item of new business if
Oh, sure. So new suspension of rules. In favor, opposed, carried.
yeah, let me just
I mean, we have to go to that meeting.
by 11.
Yeah, by 10:59. We got started.
Okay, very.
Okay, my motion is as follows.
On suspension of rules, all in favor, opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Or you'll move suspension.
I'll move suspension of the rules. Yes, thank you. And the motion I'm moving here is whereas Chad Posthumus was one of Manitoba's most accomplished basketball players, having excelled at River East Collegiate, University of British Columbia, Howard College, Moorhead State University, and later in professional leagues around the world. And whereas Chad represented Canada internationally as a member of the men's national basketball team and the 3x3 national team, showcasing his talent and commitment to his country. And whereas Chad was a community leader off the court, serving as kids sport ambassador, supporting youth through mentorship, and inspiring countless young athletes while openly sharing his journey of perseverance, including managing type 1 diabetes since childhood. And whereas Chad made history as the first player signed by the Winnipeg Sea Bears, serving as team captain, leading the league in rebounds, and forever leaving his mark on the growth of the professional basketball in Winnipeg. And whereas Chad started his athletic career at Gateway Recreation Center, and whereas Chad Posthumus' sudden passing in November 2024 was a tremendous loss to his family, teammates, community, and the wider Canadian basketball family. Therefore, be it resolved that the East Kildonan and Transcona Community Committee recommend to the Standing Policy Committee on Community Services that the newly constructed basketball court at Gateway Recreation Center be named the Chad Posthumus Memorial Courts in recognition of his outstanding contributions to basketball and his positive impact on youth and the community. So again, very untimely loss of a great player and community leader. Chad's father, Charles, is a municipal councillor in the arm of East St. Paul and is a longtime basketball coach in the area. His mother also involved in basketball at River East Collegiate, previously a former principal of River East. I've consulted with them and they are very honored and humbled by this proposed naming. So the courts are being finished as we speak. We're looking probably at a ribbon cutting in October. And very much looking forward to this amenity and be a nice way to honor Chad's contributions permanently.
Okay, thank you for that motion. All in favor? Votes carried. Okay, Council Wadi moves adjournment of the regular meeting. Favors was carried. We'll take a break. Yeah, and we'll come back to the public hearing. Just so that everybody know who's here for the public hearing, items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 have all been withdrawn from the applicant. So if there's people here in delegation, the only item pertaining to Grassy Boulevard is the secondary plan amendment. All the rezonings, the variances, the subdivision rezoning for all those properties have been withdrawn, the application. So I just want to let everybody know that. Okay? Yes, sir.
So what does it mean exactly? So
The clerk will fill you in. I can't, but I just want to let everybody know that item number 1, secondary plan is still on the agenda. That's a secondary plan amendment, which has to be technically done first if there is going to be a rezoning or variance. But the other items have been withdrawn.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Well, hold on.
Okay,
Wait,
sorry.
we're gonna call adjournment and then you'll be able to
Okay.
have a chit chat off line.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, guys. Okay, we are starting our public hearing. And then where did I put the landing? You're a good man. Thank you. Okay, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. I'd like to thank our clerk here today, Mr. Harris. Councilor Brawadi is here. I'd like to welcome Mr. Kowalik of the Land Development Division, Evan Allen, our senior planner, and Troy Ho, who is our new planner for this area. Yes. So welcome. And we have item number 1, I think. All right. And as stated, did you let everybody know about those other items?
I was going to read through it when I do the introduction.
Sure. Okay, very good. Good.
In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, the process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application. Next, those registered in opposition are heard, followed by those registered for information. Finally, the applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted. Please note that when your name is called, it's your opportunity to speak. However, you are not obligated to do so. For a more in-depth overview of the public hearing process and other information pertaining to what happens before, during, and after a public hearing, please consult the City Clerk's Department website. Please note that all public hearings are recorded and will be a part of the public record. Should you have any questions after the hearings have concluded, please contact the City Clerk's Department. Item 1 is a secondary plan amendment at 444, 448, 470, 498, 510, 520 Grassy Boulevard, as well as unaddressed parcels, roll numbers 040047666100 and 0400462150 under file SPA 2/2025. Please note communications were received in support of and in opposition to the matter, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. I will note that this file was cross-referenced with several other files that have been withdrawn. These include the rezoning at 444 Grassy Boulevard, DAZ 206/2025, the variance at 444 Grassy Boulevard, DAV 225631/2024D, the subdivision and rezoning at 448 and 470 Grassy Boulevard, and unaddressed land parcel roll number 040047666100 south of 448 and 470 Grassy Boulevard, filed DASZ 15/2025. The variance at 448 Grassy Boulevard, filed DAV 124817/2025D. The subdivision and rezoning at 498-510-520 Grassy Boulevard and unaddressed parcel roll 0400462150, filed DASZ 16/2025. And the variance at 498-510-520 Grassy Boulevard and unaddressed parcel roll number 0400462150, file DAV 124950/2025D. So those will not be in discussion today. The process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application, those registered in opposition, and those registered for information. The applicant may return to speak in rebuttals, comments made. However, no new information is permitted. Speakers will be permitted 5 minutes for their presentations. At this time, I will turn it over to the planning department for a brief overview of the application.
Item number 1.
Thank you very much, councillors. For those in the gallery, my name is Evan Allen. I'm a planner in the Long Range Group with the Urban Planning and Design Division. Speaking towards this application, this is a proposed amendment to the Transcona West Area Structure Plan. A few moving parts this one, as well as several parcels, so I'll do my best to keep things brief as I can. So as discussed, this subject site includes 8 parcels, so 444 Grassy, 448, 470, and unaddressed land parcel, and then 498, 510, 520 Grassy, and an unaddressed land parcel. In the back, you can see that in figure 1 of my report. So subject area is currently designated within CCDS 2.0 as a recent community. But the area also shares 2 designations as designated within the Transcona West Area Structure Plan, which you can see on page 14, figure 4. So some sites are fully designated and others are split designated. So properties or portions of properties that front onto Grassy Boulevard are designated as existing low-density residential, with areas towards the rear being designated as proposed low-density residential. Similarly, zoning follows suit as a mix, and some are fully zoned and some are split zoned. 444 Grassy is currently zoned R1M, whereas portions of the remaining properties that front onto Grassy are zoned R1L, and the areas to the rear are zoned RR5. So a bit of a mixed bag there. Grassy Boulevard is currently classified as an arterial and handles a significant amount of traffic traveling east-west. However, the Transcona Area Structure Plan identifies Grassy as a minor collector and that will be closed with the creation of the future Edshire Parkway. And with primary access to Edshire being provided via Concordia and McClellan. Additionally, the Transcona West Area Plan also identifies the future extension of Williamson Crescent to Grassy Boulevard, which is involved in these applications. So the proposed development that was provided included a 12-unit multifamily dwelling on 444 Grassy, a 40-unit and a 16-unit multifamily dwellings on 448 and 470 and the unaddressed land parcel, and then a 282-unit multifamily dwelling on 498, 510, 520 and the unaddressed land parcel there. So the proposed amendments that were provided as part of the application include a series of text amendments that were to exempt the subject parcels from the land use and density policies that are found in the Transcona West Area Structure Plan. This would achieve by essentially spot amending the plan with specific text amendments that exempt these specific parcels, including describing them by their roll numbers as well. Additionally, there are proposed amendments that would allow the location of the Williamson Crescent right-of-way connection to Grassy Boulevard to be determined at the development application stage and to further allow multifamily dwellings to occur more than 200 meters from a transit stop. In the absence of secondary plan policies, as is being applied for, Complete Communities or overarching secondary plan for the whole city would provide development guidance for the subject areas. So looking to those policies specifically, which are in the recent community designation, policy 1.5 in that section supports mid-rise density in established neighborhoods that is compatible with the neighborhood context. And policy 115 encourages low-rise residential uses on arterial and collector roads where compatible with adjacent land uses, and is in consideration of policies in 1.6, which highlights how intensification in established neighborhoods should be guided. These factors include existing zoning on the property and adjacent properties, characteristics and build form, surrounding land uses and amenities, supportive street network, and supportive infrastructure. In the Transcona West Area Structure Plan itself, the subject lands are, as previously discussed, split designated. So some of them are existing low density, some of them are proposed low density. Section 4.2 notes that properties that are designated as existing low density are not precluded from any opportunity to rezone to another category of land use. However, those areas that are proposed low density, so that would be the back half of the majority of those parcels, are subject to policies in that plan, and they're intended for predominantly low-density housing types with recent changes from the half amendments. So these would be single-family detached, duplexes, triplexes, and fourplex uses. Higher density housing, as seen in the proposed medium density residential land use designation, shall be located as shown on the land use map. And furthermore, there is no maximum density for proposed medium density residential areas, though there is a maximum density in the proposed low density areas. So the proposed amendments to exempt or remove the subject property would effectively bypass the existing policies that exist in the Transcona West Area Structure Plan and the existing policy framework for CCS 2.0 and Transcona West as well. So the Public Services recommendations in this regard would be that the spot removal of specific lands from within a secondary plan would not be recommended. It's contrary to the intention and the role of the secondary plan as adopted by council to direct future growth within that area. The other requested amendments to alter the location of Williamson Crescent and reduce the distance for multifamily development to a transit stop are not required. The policy language here does not preclude development from occurring, and therefore those amendments are not needed. However, it is clear that the intent of the majority of the subject area, specifically the area noted as proposed low density, would be to continue the pattern of single detached residential dwelling units, much like we can see on the west side of McClellan Drive. However, given the need for housing in our city, and a redesignation to proposed medium density residential would permit higher densities than what is normally considered in this area, but still provide policies to direct future development. These would include requirements for buffering and landscaping, massing and context sensitive development, minimum densities, and pedestrian cycling connections. While CCDS 2.0 generally allows up to low-rise development along collectors and up to mid-rise on arterials, we feel that the local context of Grassy Boulevard, including a predominantly single-family detached dwelling development pattern, would suggest that mid-rise development would not be suitable at this location, and therefore the proposed development and the application would not align with policies of complete communities. So our final recommendation would be that the Transcona West Area Structure Plan already contains policy to guide medium density development, and based on the existing context and the analysis provided, it would be appropriate to consider a redesignation to proposed medium density residential in these areas, and that would form our recommendation.
Okay, any questions about that? I have one, which is, and I know this is something that I brought into discussion a long time ago with Mr. Tony when he was the area planner. Clause in this secondary plan, clause 4.2, says that nothing in this plan precludes the opportunity for the rezoning of uses shown on the land use concept map as existing to another category of land use. There's almost, I'm confused in the sense that, because I was involved with the writing of this plan, that yes, here is the land use plan. However, you can file a rezoning outside of that based on how it's worded. Now, I know further up under item 2.1, it says all development applications submitted with respect to any lands with the plan area as identified on map 2. The planning area map must be in compliance with the relevant policies of this plan. But then 4. The way I read it, 4.1 or 4.2 takes that away. Am I wrong on that? I'm a little confused.
I think the way that this is being read, if you look at the plant map, there's large areas of this plan area that were currently existing at the time that this plan was created. Those would be existing low density residential. Similarly, there's existing medium density, existing commercial. I think when this plan was being crafted, there was a desire to direct future development, not necessarily to dictate to existing developments and what they might want to redevelop as over time, or should there be infill opportunities over time? That's where the flexibility is kind of built in here. So anything that's identified as existing would apply to any of those existing developments, existing low density, existing medium density, existing commercial. But anything that's identified as proposed, which would be at the time of the creation of this plan, would be those large areas of greenfield development. That's where these policies would apply.
So if I'm looking at map 3, what you're referring to is the dark yellow versus the light yellow.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that right? So the dark yellow on the south side of Grassy is what's requiring the amendment, not the light yellow. If it was all light yellow, then we wouldn't be here.
If it was all light yellow, yes, we would all be there.
Right.
Now, 444 Grassy is located within that dark yellow area. However, the application kind of came forward as a large bundle. All these policies were, or all these parcels were kind of being applied to at the same time.
Right.
So they were all being considered roughly at the same time. So that's why that one was included.
Fair enough. No, you've answered my question. Thank you very much. All right. We'll jump right into allegations, I guess.
Okay, so our first speaker is the applicant.
Thank you.
John Winthrop. John, if you'd like to come forward, you'll have up to 5 minutes to make a presentation.
I'll get my presentation.
Say 5 minutes, but you're the applicant. I'm fairly flexible on that, Mr. Winthrop, if you need more time.
I hope that it's less than 5
Of course,
minutes.
granted by Councilor White's support, but
He's the nice guy with jerks, so kidding.
it's a substantial amendment, so if you need more than 5.
Yeah.
Well, not substantial, but a number of them based on different addresses. Okay. Significant nonetheless.
Hey, okay, awesome. Morning, my name's John Winthrop. I'm the applicant on the matter. Next to me is the landowner of the property as well. We're going to share our 5 minutes and speak. I believe he registered this morning and handed in his form, but he's going to speak first. But we're going to share our 5 minutes so we can make it through this public hearing presentation.
Good morning, councilors. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your time and considering for allowing me to speak. Thank you for your time for letting us present and hearing this application out. We'll go through the application. You know why we're here today. We approached the urban planning group for about a potential rezoning parcel of land in Grassy for Boulevard for 2024. The urban planning group had asked the applicant to show compliance with the low density residential area policy in Transcona West Structure Plan. We had realized there was a disconnect at the beginning to occur in the communication of the direction between the urban planning group, and decided that the amendment to the second plan for these 3 parcels for undertaking to change the land designated from the low density area to the medium density residential area. There has only been 3 amendments to the Transcona West Area Structure Plan since 2013. It doesn't appear that any of the 3 amendments were related to the change of the density. But we're in agreement and we wanted to show our support to the urban planning group. The public service has recommended the applicant secondary plan approval. One of the reasons we're here, just changing the lands, it's for Grassy, 448 Grassy, 470, 498, 510, and 520. And there are a couple of unaddressed parcels as well. There's 2, we would like to discuss 2 other, we agree with all the, we're in alignment with the public service. However, I would like to address there are 2 concepts near the end of the presentation, which will affect the future development applications, being city's vision policies, bylaws surrounding residential densification, and the area context and how the context is applied to the applications. The proposed amendments, the effect of these amendments will be to expand housing options for Transcona West residents in a manner that is sensitive and complementary to the existing development, and aligning with the city residential densification efforts. Why we're doing this today? To align our development plans, comply with the city's vision policies of the densification, and to allow residential densification of the 3 lots on Grassy Boulevard. We're trying to do this with the city's vision and all the items that the city has recommended. Increased density neighborhood respecting area context, targeting a minimum of 50% of all the dwelling units to be accommodated in the existing build, and then building more complete communities and aligning with the city's residential intensification targets. City's planning policies and bylaws align to complete community strategy 2.0, aligns to councils have funding 2.5. We're in the process for the secondary plan amendment. Again, just saying we align with the city's approval.
I'll just add a little bit here to, we believe this approval of the amendment will enable a diversity of residential building typologies to build in mature and recent communities. We feel these amendments align with the complete communities direction strategy and alignment with council's half amendments that they made in June. So we're aligning with the vision of the cities for densification of neighborhoods, for complete communities, and with the city recent policy amendments. We understand area context is a factor. We are taking the time and the energy and the patience to look at densification that has happened in Transcona West and Transcona and across Winnipeg in these types of very similar circumstances. And that's something we'll look as those circumstances and how those fit into those neighborhoods, and we'll learn from those and apply them here. But today we're looking to move forward with an amendment. I think we're in agreement with the public service on. I think that's everything from us, and we have 16 seconds left, and we did it less than 5.
Quick. Okay, any questions, Councilor Rawadi?
Okay.
So maybe the public service might want to jump in here. The parcels, there's 3 parcels. The first 2 to the west. Why are we redesignating those as, what are they right now? What are they considered right now? For smaller of the 2, of the 3.
The 444 Grassy.
So there's the first one, which is the furthest to the west, and then the second one. What are the densities right now on it? It's allowed.
They're mostly single family, I believe. Exclusively single family.
Okay, including the large parcel?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the position of the public service when it comes to this change?
Yeah, I think when we're looking at this, there are opportunities for intensification throughout this plan area. There are areas of medium density residential. It doesn't necessarily prescribe a certain density that would be considered here. The application that had previously come in, we were prepared to go with something along the lines of an RMFS kind of zoning density is what we anticipated would be the most appropriate for an area like this.
Which area are those?
It would be all 3.
All 3.
Yeah, it's given there are some nuances here as well. 444 Grassy will be the smallest parcel furthest to the west there. That one's more or less surrounded on all 4 sides, save for the north, but across the street, generally with additional single family detached. Whereas some of the parcels a little further to the east, again, it would be more or less on 3 sides. On the ones to the south of a potential extension of Williamston Crescent would be directly fronting or directly backing onto additional single family, and similar to the parcels furthest to the east as well. Those ones, even though they do have some, they are adjacent to a future arterial roadway. There would be no connection to that roadway. So Grassy Boulevard right now is kind of a main east-west corridor that handles a lot of traffic between that area, between Concordia and Cleland, further to the north. the eventual plan outlined in the Transcona West Area Structure Plan is that when the Edgeshire Parkway comes in, Grassy would be closed. There would be a turnaround right at the end. So that would essentially form a cul-de-sac. So there would be no through access.
Sorry, where would Grassy be closed?
Grassy would be closed right at the end of
Okay.
existing, right at the easternmost point of existing development.
So it wouldn't be attached to the future Edwardshire Park.
Correct.
Okay.
That's not the intention.
Okay.
So even though it does, even though those easternmost parcels do front onto that arterial, there's no access provided there. So we would still be looking at that, minor collector classification in the future.
I'm confused. Why? And I realize the application has been pulled, but the public service was not in support of some of the higher densities being proposed. You were supportive of RMFS, I believe, but this is calling for all of it to be medium.
That's correct. So
I'm confused.
the current designations within the plan, the proposed low density area, which is most of these parcels, only allows for singles, doubles, triplexes, and fourplexes.
Okay.
That's the policy there.
That's what it is now.
That's what it is now. So if you want to go more than that, say to a townhouse style, small apartment, something like that with a higher density, you need to go to the proposed medium density.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So medium does not mean medium necessarily.
Not necessarily. In the context of this plan, it just allows for more than a fourplex.
What are your thoughts on Williamson Crescent itself?
Williamson Crescent, yeah, there needs to be some connectivity between Williamson and Grassy. We don't, we would prefer not to see really long kind of cul-de-sacs form. So there would be a future cul-de-sac along Grassy, and if we extended, Williamson out further, it would be another really long cul-de-sac. So just for connectivity, for pedestrian movement, it would, the plan was always to have Williamson connect to Grassy. Where that connection takes place, it shows it on the map, but there is policy that says that, what's on the map for the local roads is preliminary in nature. We would expect some variation depending on applications that come forward.
Sorry, my question more was along the land use, some future land use on the remaining.
Yeah, well, I think, the existing pattern is largely single family. I think that's what was envisioned for this area when it was originally drawn up. You can see it mirrors the west side of McLennan there. But given, our current, markets and desire to see a little bit more density in our intensification areas, we could see slightly more density here in this area.
What was the public service? I thought the public service was on the side of basically single family, more or less, go on Williams.
There was one section, I believe, of parcel of the 448, 470. That would be south of an extension of Williamson Crescent. And that one would be more or less backing right onto existing single family. And that one we would see as remaining in the proposed low density area, so allowing up to fourplexes to be built there, pending zoning. But just given, what the plans that were submitted with an extension of Williamson Crescent, we did not feel that southerly parcel or portion would fit that medium density kind of threshold. Certainly for everything else, further to the east, that whole area we would be okay with going to the medium density, and then anything fronting onto Grassy would be medium.
And why do we need to connect Williamson to Grassy? Why can't we keep it as a quiet kind of cul-de-sac type road? Why do we need to connect it?
There are standards, I don't know them off the top of my head, but there are standards in terms of the length that cul-de-sacs can be. So, and that's primarily due to safety concerns. If there were some kind of accident, there would only be one entrance and exit for a lot of those homes. The more homes you would put on that long cul-de-sac, the higher the risk is. But generally speaking, for connectivity, to encourage, complete communities, people to be able to kind of move freely and kind of get where they need to go, it would make sense to connect this up very similar to how it is on the other side.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you know, I mean, that's the ideal, but really, what is, I mean, the number is somewhat arbitrary, like how, what is it, Kevin? What do we say?
Meters.
How many lots?
90 meters.
90 meters, which is typically how many homes? 90 meters to double loaded.
It really depends on your frontage and your densities.
So in this case, how far are we talking here now, right
I
now?
think you're already over the 90 meters.
We're over the 90 meters. And has council approved subdivisions with 90 meters or more?
The closest one was McLeod or the Ferret Farm.
Oh, on McIver.
McIver, sorry. Yeah, that was the last time it came up, and I'm not really sure. I think that one was 93 meters or something. Really close.
We also have the example of the Oaks, which was approved with ballers that were allowed to be broken off to allow access to the perimeter highway. We also did the same with Paul Martin Drive at the end of Robson, which is far more than 90 meters, but one entrance in and one entrance out. Unfortunately, I have a lot of institutional knowledge.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But anyway,
The Oaks still
You
have
have-
Camp Manitou and the perimeter highway for exit and entrance.
right.
And your other example was, sorry?
Well, Paul Martin Drive,
I'm not familiar with that.
that's right across from the fish plant on Plessy. It's a looped road with one entrance in and out via Robson.
Yeah, but again, that would be, if you look at the segment that's single, it's quite short. That only has one entrance that needs to be shut down in order to close off access to that. And Paul Martin is still a bay.
Yes, but it's only one access in. So anyway, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Like,
I hear what you're saying. Okay.
Just for reference, Williamson Crescent currently is 185 meters, so it's more than double.
What's
Already.
sorry, what is?
Williamson right now
Yeah.
is already 185 meters in length. So it's more than double what we would normally
Yeah.
expect for a cul-de-sac, so.
And why did we not, look, back in the day, this is before my time, you have Rutledge. Why was there not a connection, like say, through south instead of north?
it's before my time. I don't know the history. There was significant caveats registered on title to ensure Williamson eventually punched through to Grassy. There was ceilings in place, with some interesting clauses. It was initially proposed to go quite a bit more to the east. However, my understanding is the proponents can't get permission to cut through the middle property, and what they're proposing is acceptable to Public Works.
Which is
To
like a
go-
back lane concept.
It's punching up through I believe it's 470 Grassy. So the
7.5 meter wide right away or a lane type.
That part is not acceptable, but the overall configuration of having the shortened Williamson Crescent before jutting out to Grassy is.
But a lane option would be acceptable as well, right? If you had a lane connection.
The lane to Grassy is not really ideal. Grassy is a pretty major road.
But that's just temporary. Apparently.
It's temporary, yeah, but we need to plan for what's there today. And what's there for tomorrow, which is kind of hard. But at the same time, it's not really ideal.
What do you mean kind of hard?
Well, it's hard to know the future.
In terms of what?
Again, Grassy is proposed to be dead-ended and cul-de-sac at some time. I don't know if that plan will move forward or when it will move forward, but we need to ensure a safe road network today for the foreseeable future.
Well, I think one of the frustration the residents in the area have is that they've heard that for a long time. Right?
And I'm not,
And nothing has happened in terms of new strategic infrastructure, at least to the east of Chief Peguis and Lajmodi, right? That's the issue.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. I wanted to get the elephant in the room. So, all right, let's jump along. And who do we have now? Elliot, thank you very much. I don't have any questions of you gentlemen. We'll probably have some after. Thank you.
So that concludes those who had registered in support. Just to confirm, is there anyone else here in support of the application? Seeing none, we can move to those in opposition. We'll start with Robert Davies. Robert, you can come forward to the front here. You'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
Thank you much for
Good
listening
morning.
to us. Morning. Welcome back to the next year of work. I didn't realize this planning committee could change the weather and go from really nice.
I know, eh? Rob, it makes us feel better being inside here, so. Cover your tomatoes.
I heard
Wow.
They're not ripe yet.
I gotta find cherry. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut in just before or just after you present. Can I get you to fill out an application form at the front there?
Yes, we did it online, but that you still need.
Okay, I have Robert down, but I haven't had yours.
Oh,
Go ahead.
my wife
Yeah.
Cheryl is sitting beside me, and we live on Rutledge, and we are. I'm a Winnipeg boy. Did my work life in Thompson, and Cheryl's a Neepawa girl. So we're living life large in Winnipeg right now. So we're enjoying our retirement. Thank you again for the opportunity to present to this committee. And we have owned our home on Rutledge for 6 years. Our backyard borders the properties referred to as 510 and 520 Grassy Boulevard.
What is your address on Rutledge?
The 331 thing. We and many of our neighbors oppose the property development as presented by Winthrop Consulting. This development doesn't fit our neighborhood and actually shows contempt for our established community. To go from 2 residents to 350 apartments in the exact same space, and from a 2-story single-family home to a 4, 6, and 8 level apartment, and I know there have been some changes, doesn't even exist in the Harborview area. There are no 8-story buildings in the Harborview area. Even the proposed location of the garbage bins that are right next door to our backyard and our neighbor's backyard is definitely showing a lack of concern.
Just to interrupt you, I apologize. So which lot would be yours based on the map here? that we have?
331.
the map.
Is it the pie lot, pie shaped lot, or you one of the?
We're kind of pie lot.
Okay,
Look for the pool.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds,
Look for the 127th south pool.
okay, fair enough.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
So we have a few concerns. One is the disruption to our community character. Light residential, single family neighborhoods, family oriented with parks, backyards, walking paths, distinct house styles. High density homes are a stark contrast to that and are out of place in our existing community. Our single family neighborhood is close knit. Neighbors know each other, trust each other, share responsibility. The well-treed areas that are part of the proposed development are home to many animals and birds, in particular Cooper's hawks and osprey. We know that one of the biggest impacts of high density zoning is an increase in traffic. Grassy already sees a lot of traffic. I have been in lines of cars that have been backed up all the way from Plessis to McMillan, bumper to bumper. And with only one exit out of the proposed housing and so many more vehicles, that road will just become more congested. Parking is also a huge concern. I drove past a party at the 2 side-by-side homes on Grassy, and there were at least 20 cars parked along the boulevard. We can only imagine where secondary cars and visitors will park, creating even more congestion. The proposed development will have a negative impact on our property values. Drawings of the development that we went to at a presentation show the garbage bins, again, for the entire apartment complex right next to our back fence. This will create a lower quality of life and enjoyment because I can't even imagine the smell and the noise. And the height difference between even a 4-story building and a 1 or 2 single family home is huge, especially looking over our pool. All chance of backyard privacy is eliminated, and we know that people look for privacy in their own yards when purchasing a home.
We do like the Winnipeg Public Service recommendation that the Transcona West area structure plan proposed a medium density residential. But we have a problem with the medium density being where you can go to a 32, 34 height building right next to a light family residence. And I didn't catch everything that was said early on, but what we're suggesting is that anything, as long as the first row of houses connecting to our light residential property maintains the same structure. And I didn't catch everything that was said early with the introduction, but that only makes logical sense to me that you would have. It was like the conversation was discussed when there was somebody was splitting their property at the last meeting just before you hit recess for summer. And the discussion was, and there was a discussion across the way, people were actually talking and saying, as long as you don't make it a medium density multifamily unit, we're okay with this. And we would like that kind of a transition. Currently, properties in the established area are single family light residential homes. Medium density homes should be directly across should not be directly across the fence from established light density homes.
No, it's one of the reasons why I just jump in.
I love this discussion.
It's one of the reasons I mentioned Williamson, and the planner confirmed that originally Williamson was planned to go right through, being forecasted, I guess, as a single family on the south side, right? It would have been backing onto you.
Yeah.
So thus raising that as an example. Carry on. Sorry for interrupting.
No, it's all good. And you can really appreciate the development.
I'm sorry, you got this damn timer thing. You want a bit more time to speak?
Just the last paragraph.
Just
So,
last
Council
2
Bowman
lines.
moves another 5 minutes. Carry on.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. By limiting the zoning of the area, you meet the needs of more housing. We get that. Without disrupting the established community, causing major traffic impacts, and negatively impacting property, privacy, and most importantly, therefore, value. I hate to see the value of my house dropping as a result of a 4-story, 3-story building right behind my property or my neighbor's property. I get it. There is an issue with one piece of property. I also understand the history of how that property was sold off because I grew up in Transcona since 1972. So I get how that area formed.
Okay, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you very much for listening.
Appreciate it. And Miss, I'm sorry, Miss Davies, what's your first?
Cheryl,
Cheryl, okay, Cheryl.
but I filled it out.
Sounds good. So when it comes to we have them wanting, we're just dealing, today we're not dealing with the subdivision rezoning, that's on the table.
Right.
However, I guess via the planners that are here, we can designate a lower category if we so choose within the plan boundaries here, as long as it's a lower land use category and not a higher one, by splitting the existing parcel, 3 parcels. Is that fair to say?
Yes, if that is the desired recommendation of the committee, there could be a variation in the designation to see specifically for areas that border along existing single-family homes to maintain its proposed low-density residential designation. That would still allow up to 4 plexes, but within the confines of the zoning bylaw. So,
and we also have a policy of 10% of land being set aside for park. Park designation is lower than the medium density being proposed here. Could it be also placed on the map? In light of the fact that this is all before us today, it is subject to a hearing.
I imagine it probably could, but it might be subject to, I don't know if we could necessarily designate that ahead of the formal dedication and that would be seen as part of the rezoning?
No, but I'm saying not tying it to the rezoning, but rather saying that since we are looking at a change to the use based on the area structure plan, and that medium is definitely a greater intensity than park. Park would, in my mind, be potentially on the table as an option for this committee.
I'd have to look at that. I don't know that there's necessarily a proposed park. Oh, no, there is actually a proposed park designation. Sorry, my bad. Theoretically, yes, that is a possibility.
Then my question, I just wanted to clarify that. The question to you folks would be, would it be more palatable for you that if some amount of land behind your property were set aside as PR or park designation as part of this secondary plan amendment, would that go a long way to easing your concerns about buildings being right up against your property? I guess it depends on how much depth, but I just want to throw that out there, an idea.
Again, it's not necessarily park, although park is always preferable. We're looking for just a match of the residential structure and flavor of the area right next to our properties along that whole length. The maintenance of the trees are great because we do have the wildlife in our area, but at the same and the parks are great. But even if you're building houses, because I know these guys bought the property for houses, and none of us expect it to be park all for our entire life. The issue for us is that if you put a medium density house, which has a height restriction of 36 feet,
Is that right?
it is, then you've got 3 stories sitting right into our backyard and our neighbor's backyard, and the 5 going the opposite direction.
But if the first line behind
is
still single family,
is a single family light residential bordering all those that have proper houses now, because they're all also designated light residential.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you, of course, would be fine with park, but also you'd be fine with single family style development as if Williamson was extended through and the south side was single family.
yes.
Okay, I hear you now. Okay.
And anyone buying would know that there might be something bigger going up,
Yeah.
but they would be aware of that when they bought.
So across the road where the parkway is going to go through, it's empty field.
Right.
If you put 10-story buildings there, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
People buying the house know what they're getting into.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I thank you so much for listening to us. That is,
You made some good points. Thank you. I've made a note of them.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Don't leave because it'll be.
we're taking that.
Good. Good show. You did very good.
we were supposed to be in Kenora.
Oh my
We're
God.
hanging here for.
Oh my gosh.
Wait.
We got away from pickerel fishing. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on. So, yes.
okay, up next we have Arthur and Christina Frank.
Thanks for coming back. I remember when you were earlier, sir.
Thank you. So my wife's supposed to be like the reader, so I apologize ahead if I do some mistakes, but she couldn't get the time off from her work.
What is we need your name and address.
Arthur Frank, 146 Williamson Crescent.
You're 146 Williamson.
Yes, right behind the Triple Fork Racing, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then my name is Arthur Frank. My family and I will live at 146 Williamson Crescent.
Okay.
Today I will be talking on behalf of my neighbors who live by Triple Fork Racing, which faces our backyards, and also in behalf of the people who signed the petition against connecting Gracie to Williamson. I would like to express my strong opposition to proposed development on Triple Fork Racing lot in our neighborhood. While I understand the need for affordable housing development in our city, I believe that this project will have detrimental impact on my family and our community. I will begin with more general facts such as character of my neighborhood and how these higher density dwellings influence current residents' lives. And then I will continue talking specifically about these projects and what effect they will have on my property, my neighbor, and how it can alter social dynamics and perceived quality of life in the neighborhood. To gather some information about the proposed project, I looked up 444 Grassy property on Winnipeg City website. It is described on the zoning district as a, like we talked about, residential single family, and I quote, accommodate single family residential development in lower density neighborhood. What I'm trying to say is that the proposed development is too large for this law, and you can clearly see this as it doesn't meet standards of Winnipeg City bylaw. Not enough parking lots. There will be no east and west side yards to the neighbor's property and more. The high density development impacts the quality of life, resulting in increased traffic and noise, air pollution, and lack of privacy can affect single family neighbors' well-being, especially when it comes to the extreme proximity, as in the case we're discussing today. 444 Grassy property begins less than 10 meters from my house. The parking lots of 19 vehicles, garbage enclosures will be just on the other side of my fence, idling all year round, especially during winter months. Impacts air quality and as a result, my family's health and others who live besides that lot. Car alarms going on in the middle of the night, slamming doors, music playing from the car, residents smoking, chatting voices. These are all things will be faced, and it is less than 10 meters from my bedroom. For some people, it is even less. And on top of that, I saw like my wife, she's like suffering from insomnia, waking up in the middle of the night can easily result in not falling back asleep. While I do understand that the city is growing and we need more housing to allow more affordable living, I'm all for it, but it shouldn't increase life satisfaction of adjacent residents that they once had. We personally, I'm sure like anyone else here, picked up this house for specific characteristics and committed to pay mortgages each month to enjoy those properties. I would like to share an interesting story. 9 years ago, when my family moved to this house, after about 2 months from possession date, we received final notice from City of Winnipeg to lower our deck that was built by the previous owner, as interfered with the neighborhood privacy. We took our time and expenses to lower the deck. And now I'm getting 3 stories apartment building, a few meters away from my house. Just to give you an idea, last year we set up the pool at our backyard. On a sunny day, my wife will be walking around the property in the swimming suit, and eyes of 12 families are invited to observe this. In other words, when it comes to privacy, it should be fair and comes both ways. If it doesn't happen, we are dealing with double standards. So in addition to our backyards being affected, Williamson Crescent is planned to be turned into drive-through apartment complexes, which will rise further down Grassy. We would like to ask to reconsider the site plan of the proposed plan. Our neighborhood strongly prefers having a dead-end street, which increases safety for children and families, keep the street quiet, and eliminates trespassing and public access to our properties. It seems to be unnecessary to change the road when the site is directly facing Grassy Boulevard, and it provides direct access and connection without disruption to our neighborhood. We hope it's possible to eliminate the road access through Williamson Crescent and make the proposed site accessible through Grassy Boulevard only. This will allow our street feel safe and comfortable without any alteration. We highly value our comfort and plan to call this home for many more years. Therefore, all people who signed the petition oppose new development due to increased traffic in Williamson Crescent. Having 3-story building next to our property, as well as increased traffic on Williams, will not only affect the quality of my private space, but also reduce home value. To support our guesses, we consulted local realtor agencies to confirm this information. Unfortunately, I can only speak my opinion, even though I tried to support my position by contacting, it was like months ago, City of Winnipeg for the consultation regarding city's bylaw there.
Councilor Kawadi moves extension for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
All in favor, opposed, carried. Carry on.
That applies to this case. However, sadly, I was refused with help. After I described the situation, the city representative said that there is nothing she can help with and it is up to the city to decide what can be built on my neighbor's property. I was trying to inquire about restrictions, setbacks, buffers, etc. I was told there is not such bylaws. Also, secretary of our area council promised to call me back regarding this matter. However, never heard back from both of them. I hope.
We can't talk to you outside of the hearing, that's why.
Yeah,
My apologies.
yeah,
my
no
apologies.
problem. Yeah.
Carry on.
Like
Yeah.
it's first time my family faces
Fair
stuff
enough.
like that.
Not a problem, sir. Thank you.
I hope we all gathered here today not for the check mark, and I truly believe that our opinions will be taken into consideration as we're living in this neighborhood first. As a resident of Harborview South, it is terrifying proposition that these structures can be placed anywhere in my area without restrictions, and the position from directly impacted neighbors is disregarded. We hope our input is valued and taken into account. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your presentation. So you back on to 444 Grassy?
Yes, sir.
I understand, okay. And right now, 444 Grassy is considered what under the existing plan?
The existing plan is existing low density residential.
And what does that mean?
So it's recognizing the existing development that was currently there, right? The single family homes. A lot of the policies that describe what would be allowed there apply, but clause 4.2, which says it's a rezoning can be done, nothing precludes any rezoning to occur,
Right.
would apply to that area. But it is
So it
existing
applies there, but I don't get that. Why does it apply? Then why are we even showing it here?
because it is because it was included with the application package
Oh, I see.
from the same
Confusing
applicant.
effect.
All three were being applied for at the same time.
What does low density mean though, in practical terms?
Low density at the time the plan was written largely means single family detached homes with allowance for some duplex. Now the plan has been amended.
Not yet.
Recently. It has been, yes.
The plan, pardon me, repeat that?
The plan has been amended. It was included as part of the.
Oh,
the
yeah.
half
or-
changes.
Yeah. The
So-
fourplex package.
Yes, so low density in this regard, similar to many other plans in the remainder of the city of Winnipeg, would allow for up to fourplexes under the rules of the zoning bylaw.
Did you hear that, sir? Did
Yeah,
you hear what he said?
I didn't understand completely.
Okay, that's why I wanted to raise it, so, can you say it again?
Yeah, so the current designation in the plan, the Transcona West Area Structure Plan, is existing low density residential.
Yep.
But what that means is they could do up to a fourplex.
How many units is it?
That would be four.
So that means 2-story, 1, 2, like 3, 4, right?
Yeah, lots of
It could
configurations.
technically be 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, technically, right? Is that? Very hard, it's not
there's a-
common. I mean, it would have to.
There's
be
a height restriction of 35 feet.
Right.
Oh, there's a height restriction of 35 feet, so you're probably right, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
So, okay, the plan right now, if I understood right, was a 3-story. Like 9,
35 feet, which is the measurement to the middle of your roof, so it's like a 2-story house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it happens, so this is the most with what can like coming out, right?
So before, it was low density, which was single family.
Yeah.
Then the federal government wanted to give the cities money for affordable housing.
Yeah.
And but they told all the cities across Canada, we're only gonna give you this money if you increase your densities across the city.
Okay.
So Winnipeg City Council voted by majority to actually do exactly that, to secure 150 million, was it, Jeff? Or, HAF money.
Yeah.
So that's the information which a lot of the general public has not sunk in yet, which is why I'm raising it. So technically now, a fourplex can go in where a single family was once. Depending on the size of the lot too, right?
It depends on the requirements in the zoning bylaw.
Yeah, I drove a lot now in the neighborhood, and I never saw like apartment buildings in such a small lot. So this is the smallest lot I ever saw, like, and not only in Winnipeg, I don't know.
Did you have a question, Councilor?
I was gonna say on Grassy, because it doesn't have land drainage sewers, is it not restricted to 2 units?
That might be, that's a good point.
That is a good question. I thought some land drainage sewer did extend
444 Grassy has.
to a certain point. I think
So 444 is included in the land drainage.
So it's considered to have a 4H municipal service.
yes. Yeah.
But to your bigger picture, sir, proposed medium density, what would that allow them to do in terms of density and height? Again,
The plan itself does not describe, a maximum density for that designation. It just allows, it would, in theory, allow for more than a fourplex.
and what about height?
Height, again, it does not dictate. That would be up to the zoning bylaw. So, you could see here, a relatively, short building, but it would have more units.
Okay, but as
Right.
long as it's not high enough and, yeah, but the parking spaces will be still there, 19 cars, right?
Yes.
Stuff like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, yeah, the,
There's lots of variables in terms of height or the number of units or the configuration and all those things would need to be sorted out and would need to adhere to the zoning bylaw.
I mean, everyone, I guess, lived once in their lifetime in an apartment building. We know what that means, like cars, people on the phone, coming from the night shift home, which is understandable, of course. Everyone has to work somewhere. But that means all the houses will be affected like crazy, yeah.
Oh, definitely, I've heard your presentation, sir. You spoke well,
Yeah, thank you.
and
You need the
thank
signature
you very much, George.
for the,
We do have, that's the same one that you submitted
Yeah, no, the
previously? We do
same.
have it on
Okay,
file, thank you.
perfect.
Yeah, you know what? Give us a copy again.
yeah, I have it, yeah.
Thank you very much, Arden.
Yeah, thank you guys for the time. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no, appreciate you coming again. Okay, other delegations?
So that concludes those who had registered in opposition. Just to confirm, is there anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition? And is there anyone here who would like to speak for information? Seeing none at this time, we could go to questions for the administration.
I'm gonna hold off on those. I'd like to hear back from the applicant, actually, and maybe have questions at that time with the administration. Is that okay? So invite the applicant back.
Just note if we do the applicant then ask non-clarifying procedural or non-clarifying questions of the administration, then we should be inviting the applicant back for rebuttal.
Okay,
At any point, we can ask the administration for clarifying.
fair enough. So maybe I'll do, thank you very much, Mr. Harris. So we as a committee could, in theory, elect not to allow the suggested proposed medium density residential on 444. We could say we want to maintain the proposed low density residential, right? In terms of that postage stamp.
Yep, you could, yes.
And we could dissect the remaining two blocks whereby low density, I'm not too sure what are the widths, Mr. Kwalik, what are the widths of the lots on Williamson there?
12.19 meters.
The width of each lot? What is that in feet? I'm sorry.
Sounds like 36, but
Probably 50. Yeah, they're 50s.
Okay, so
Oh, sorry, on Williamson. They are, 40s.
40 feet?
Yeah.
40 feet, okay.
Give or take.
And why is it that the middle block is the lower half is being maintained as proposed low density on that section?
Due to its immediate adjacency on the west and south side to existing low density.
Okay, but if that's the case, why wasn't the larger block subject to the same thing?
In that instance, since there is no right of way being proposed that would sort of bisect that, the thought was, the public service was amenable and would support up to an RMFS, which would not allow, high density. We thought that it would be, it could be overcome through design consideration. You might have green spaces, potentially a buffer. You might have higher density, but at a lower design. Something akin to, I was trying to find other examples, but something on the corner of Devonshire and Plessy. As an RMFS development there, it's relatively small in terms of its design, but still maintains that type of zoning and is a higher density than single family homes would permit. Again, there are many iteration or many options that could be presented, but the decision was that only for that one section that would sort of be created south of an extension of Williamson should maintain that sort of low density, whereas everything else we would be okay to move to the medium density.
Let's say Williamson is not. Let's say that clause that is here gets deleted by the committee. You have right now the densities going to down the middle of Williamson. Why is that? Why down the middle? Why not, let's say, at the top of the lower lots or something? You follow me?
Yes.
I don't get that. Why is it running down the middle of the street?
Yeah, it would be, given the configuration that was being proposed, the ones to the south would be landlocked, whereas parcels to the north would be reconfigured that they would be part of a single parcel that would front onto Grassy. So we're acknowledging that given the future subdivision, that would become one large lot fronting onto Grassy, we would treat it the same. The ones on the south side of that potential extension would not be the same. It would be a separate parcel that would be very close to existing single families on two sides, whereas the other one would only be on.
But technically speaking, they own all that land, right? The middle block, right, all the way to Grassy. So
yeah,
nobody's landlocking anybody.
Well, it would be situated between an existing right of way and then on two sides, you would have immediately abutting existing single family. So,
okay. So in theory, the line that shows drawn between proposed low density residential versus proposed medium density residential, that line could be drawn at the top of the southern lots of Williams. Extended that way, in theory. Right?
In theory, yes.
And in theory, also, if the width of the lots on Williamson are 40 feet, there could be a 40-foot lot created or a line created basically against the easternmost lots on the north side of Williamson. Another 40-foot strip that would be low density with the majority of the balance going to proposed medium density, but that would give a buffer to the residents who are existing right now, both on Grassy and Williams. Correct? Are you following me?
I'm following, yes.
Okay. And then in theory, the same thing could be done on the larger block. So I think I'd like to know, and I guess the other side of it is to be fair to the applicant, if the requirement of having to punch Williamson through to Grassy is not needed, there's a possible uptake there for them in terms of lost land that they would have seen. But anyway, go ahead, Mr. Kwolek. I know you were going to jump in when I said that.
No.
Yeah.
So currently we also, the last development, we put caveats on title for snow storage and basically using it as an informal turnaround. That's the property east of 156 Williamson. That lot is encumbered and unbuildable until we punch Williamson through.
Which lot is that?
It's the last lot
It's
on
the
Williamson.
one lot north side?
Yeah,
on the north side.
North or south side?
On the north side of Williamson.
Okay, well then we would unencumber it.
Yeah, but we need it for turnaround and snow storage and
Who owns the lot?
believe it's the developer who did the last 9 houses.
And who was that? Global?
I believe so.
Global Homes. Okay. That's a few years ago now.
I do remember this.
Yeah,
I do remember
good
that.
Memory, and they have been inquiring about the discharge of those caveats, and Public Works' response has been once Williamson is punched through. I am told that there is also a temporary water main easement through those properties that is expected to punch
So you
through.
gotta speak up because of the.
Sorry.
I apologize.
There is also a temporary water main and easement through those properties all the way to Grassy. That water main needs to be moved and also punched through. Water and Waste has a strong preference to own the land that the water main travels through for maintenance reasons.
That can get built?
The water main is there, it's looped.
Yeah, I thought it did.
But the proposal is to move it so that
Move it.
the looping would allow accommodation.
Oh, I see on the
more
public railway.
development, right? We don't want dead end main service
Right.
more than 20 homes because if the main gets shut down,
Yeah.
we can't service it. So all this to say is that this may not be overly beneficial to the developer, as in he would need to open right away for the turnaround in his land. And at the same time, it would probably make the lots south of Williamson harder to.
No, well, I guess depending on how if he creates pilots there, he had a turnaround there.
Yeah, it would need to be,
you know.
Off-centered, but it would be skewed north, but
Sure.
at the same time, I don't know if there's an overall benefit to them.
Okay, well, we'll hear from them. That's, no, I appreciate your input, Kevin. Anything else? Any other questions on the public service?
And it would still not meet our requirements for the
I know.
public safety.
Okay. All right, we'll ask our applicant to come forward, I guess.
Okay, so at this time, we'll call the applicant forward to speak in rebuttal to comments made. Don Winthrop, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation. Just note, no new information is permitted.
Trying to play the role of Solomon, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. Trying to play the role of Solomon, and I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Oh,
Right now, what are you losing in terms of Williamson having to be built for your land?
we just want to thank everybody for coming out here today. Like to start off with that, and the residents and the public service and everybody here. And again, we think we're aligning to complete communities and the Housing Accelerator Fund and amendments and to the city's vision for the city's future for growth and densification in these types of neighborhoods.
What about the orderly development of the area? And I mean, those other properties to the north, completing a bay through Williamson and at some point getting back to Grassy. I mean, that's obviously been in the plans.
Yeah, well, what we're going to do is we've been doing it all summer long. Is I've been driving around across the city in Winnipeg, looking at content sensitivity, because I've heard that quite a lot. Looking at content,
what?
context, okay, and sensitivity and characteristics of neighborhoods where these types of developments are going on, and that's something I think I've pointed out, and we'll try to be context sensitive and in this neighborhood and doing something a development that's similar and looking at the characteristics of other parts of the city and Transcona and Transcona West and North Kenona and doing something here.
What are your thoughts in terms of the large parcel having a park design?
Well, I think we're looking right now just to do an amendment to the secondary plan amendment, and I don't believe that's not subject to any kind of land dedication. So today we're here for a secondary plan amendment.
I hear you, but I'm just throwing the idea out.
Right now, we're here for a secondary plan amendment, and any kind of land dedication that council wants to prescribe to a land development under a subdivision, we're rezoning that's done through that process, and they have the right to do that.
But we also have the right to designate the southern part of that as a park designation, not as land dedication, but as park designation.
Under the secondary plan amendment, if that's the direction this committee wants to go, I'd look forward to seeing that motion and seeing what council approves, and we'll deal with that. And we're here for an amendment to the secondary plan as it was advertised, and we're looking for.
John, I wanted your thoughts on it. What are you and Mr. Gard, your thoughts? You've heard some of the residents, so I guess the problem I have with it is that we got some lots being looked after on the middle parcel, but the big parcel, they're backing onto high density. And yet the middle one we're treating differently. Why is that?
I appreciate the residents coming out today and voicing their opinion, and I'm sure in the future public hearings, these matters will be advertised and they'll be able to come out again if they so choose. And we're looking to align with complete community and do amendment to the secondary plan.
Okay. So you don't have an opinion on it?
My opinion is I think the committee should support an amendment to the secondary plan. Your public service is recommending that, and we're aligned with them on that too.
But you're not in support. Okay, good. I just wanted to know. Thank you. Any other questions, Councilman Wine? Did you guys want to add anything else?
again, we thank everybody for coming out here today. We're aligned to the public service in terms of their recommendation to this public hearing body and look forward to a decision on this matter today.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other thoughts from the public service before we do? 2 minutes.
I'd just like to point out that Parks, was not asking for any dedication on this.
Well, as pointed out by Mr. Winthrop, the dedication is not really.
No, sorry, under the circulations of the withdrawn applications,
Such.
Parks indicated that there was not a net need for additional,
But a proposed low density, there could be a need.
I guess,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to play planner, but I think there's solutions that you dug down pretty good in on Plessy and Dougal that could work here as well.
Let's see. Go ahead. Remember well, I'm trying to save a forest, but couldn't get it. Well, we saved part of it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna move, health break, 10-minute health break. Is that all right, Councilor?
Sure.
Okay. We will start up in about 10 minutes. Thank you. So we are going, I'm gonna pass the chair to Councilor Rawadi.
Okay.
Was there anything you needed to add, Brent?
No, if you'd like to go forward with motions, we certainly can at this time.
I'll move that the report of the Winnipeg Public Service be taken as read.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried.
I'm gonna move that receipt of public representations be concluded.
All in favor? Opposed, carried.
I'm gonna move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be partially concurred in with the following changes. That the lot known as 444 Grassy, which is furthest to the west, shall remain proposed or shall be redesignated to proposed low density residential. That the medium lot, the lot in between, what are the numbers on the lot in the middle? What is the address on that one?
448, 470?
And an unaddressed.
448?
Yeah.
That's just 448
It's 448, 470,
and 470.
and an unaddressed land parcel.
Okay, that those three shall remain the same, except that the line pertaining to the division between proposed low density residential versus proposed medium density residential shall be moved slightly south to align with the southern edge of Williamson. Is that understood? And that a strip 40 feet wide where shall extend north that will also be designated proposed low residential on the western side of that 448, 4470. Do you follow me?
Can you describe it again?
So 40 feet wide, strip going north. Okay. On the western side, basically where it's now colored, proposed medium residential. Okay,
So the westerly 40 feet of that lot.
correct. And that, okay, and the last block, what is it? What is the addresses on that?
470, 498, 510.
What, sorry, was it?
498,
498?
510,
Yeah,
520,
okay,
and an unaddressed land parcel.
all right, so that is also subject to a change whereby the line that was designated to be on the north side of the front of the southern lots on Williamson would extend through, with the southern portion being designated proposed low density residential, with the balance to the north being proposed medium density residential. Now, medium density residential allows what height?
It does not stipulate in the secondary plan.
Okay. Okay,
I could just get some wording so we're all on the same page here. And I also want to be clear. So 444 Grassy, the designation would be residential single family,
Proposed low.
Proposed low density.
proposed low density. Okay.
Proposed low density residential.
And then,
Or we could eliminate it totally and just say, keep it as existing low density, right? That's the other thing we could do.
Could be done.
It's the same thing, right? Basically.
Yes, however, the density policies would apply. So there are density policies that exist in the secondary plan. And they would apply to.
Which is more permissive, which is more restrictive.
I suppose the existing low density would be more permissive.
The existing low density would be more permissive.
Yes.
Because
of policy 4.2, which does not preclude any rezonings or any other policies of the plan to apply because it is existing.
So if okay. I thought it would have been the other way around, but anyway, okay.
The proposed low density area, all the policies in that proposed low density apply.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So then I'm going to change that 444 to the existing just to eliminate the amendment completely. And that it'd be existing low density residential so that there is a bit of permissiveness there.
okay, so remain existing low density residential.
Right. Thank you. And that strip, the 40-foot strip would also be existing low density residential.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have the wording on this one just because we are starting getting
Yeah.
a bit more technical here. So I want to make sure we're designating the correct zone. So this was 444. 444 was the first one. I believe this was 448, 470 with the strip. Okay.
On the western side. And in that case, then we could also specify that the proposed low density residential should all just be existing low density residential on those other pieces, right?
On the southerly,
yeah.
Southerly lots,
Well, you got 448, 44, you got 448, 470 and undefined.
Okay.
So the southern half will be existing low density residential.
Okay.
Based on the new boundary alignment being the top of the southern lots of Williamson. And the same will go in terms of 498, 510 and 520. Will be existing low density residential on the south side.
Also
Based on
in
that-
line
based on that
with
same-
alignment with Williamson.
Okay. Does the public service do you want to do a map that will come forward with this, or do you want some time to do that, or is that something you can?
I can probably put that together.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we could have a couple minutes just to write out these amendments to make sure that we're
fair enough.
Fully encapsulating. So there was so it was basically just splitting the line at Williamson for both those lots, and then 444 Grassy, the southern portion of 448 and 470 remaining existing low density residential.
Not remaining because it's not right now, right?
Correct.
So we're now designating
low
as
density.
existing low density.
Proposed.
No, existing.
Designating
Existing
low density residential.
That's not proposed.
Okay. And then for the 498, 510, the unaddressed.
Same thing.
Same
Existing low density residential.
Okay.
Based on the line being at the top of the southern lot line.
And then the last thing was that you said the 40 feet.
Well, the 40-foot strip would also be existing low density residential running north, right?
On the west
On
side.
the west side of that middle lot.
Of 448.
448, 440, 448, I guess. Yeah. Four, 4, 8, 4, 7, 0, and undefined. Need a minute to take a break and talk to you?
I wouldn't mind getting the actual wording down pat here.
Okay. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll move, we take a 5-minute recess. All those in favor? Aye. All right, we're back in the East Kelowna Transcona Community meeting for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. We're just resuming from where we left off. Councillor Wide was getting some advice on the wording of a particular motion that he did actually put on the record. So I think we've got a final wording now to share.
Correct. So it would be that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in with the following amendments: that the lot known as 444 Grassy Boulevard shall remain existing low density residential designation, that the southern portion of 448 and 470 Grassy Boulevard and unaddressed land parcel roll number 040047666100 south of 448 and 470 Grassy Boulevard, south of the eastern projection of Williamson Crescent, and a 40-foot section along the westernmost side of 448 Grassy Boulevard and unaddressed parcel roll number, as stated above, be designated existing low-density residential, and that the lot described as 498-510-520 and unaddressed parcel roll 04004621-500 be designated as existing low-density residential from the eastern projection of the south side of Williamson Crescent.
Okay, motion's understood. All those in favor?
I just want to say,
supporting reasons here, sorry.
supporting reasons, I'd like to thank the residents for coming out today. I think this addresses their concern, gives the buffers that they're looking for. It should be noted, though, that the medium density is not described in the secondary plan, so it could actually be high density. So I think the buffers we're putting in place are actually even more important than what I realized. So moving that today, and hopefully that will stick when it goes to the standing committee.
Okay, motion's been heard. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
This committee makes recommendations. It doesn't make a decision. Council makes a decision. So you want to probably go to the standing committee to eyeball colleagues. I'm on the standing committee, but anyway, there, and I will move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted, and all persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
Thank you very much for coming, those guys. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have a whole bunch of items. We're now number 8, and we're going to hear concurrently 8, 9, and 10.
Correct. That's a combined hearing.
Yes.
Would you like me to introduce the item?
Please, sir.
Item 8 is a subdivision and rezoning at 621 Pandora Avenue West under file DASZ 14/2025. In accordance with the City of Winnipeg Charter and the Development Procedures Bylaw, this is a combined hearing, and the following items will also be heard at the same time. Namely, item 9 is a conditional use at 621 Pandora Avenue West under file DCU 154594/2025D. And item 10 is a variance at 621 Pandora Avenue West under file DAV 154596/2025D. Please note communications were received in support of the matter, which have been distributed to all members of the committee. The process the committee will follow is the applicant will be heard first, followed by those in support of the application, those registered in opposition, and those registered for information. The applicant may return to speak in rebuttal to comments made. However, no new information is permitted. Speakers will be permitted 5 minutes for their presentations. At this time, I will turn it over to the administration for an overview.
Thanks. The subject property is located on the north side of Pandora Avenue West between Maraz Street and Bismarck Street in the Melrose neighborhood of the Transcona Ward. The subject site is 7,919 square feet in area and occupied by a one-story single-family dwelling with a detached garage. The applicant is seeking to consolidate and rezone the land from R1M to R2 to construct a new 8-unit multifamily dwelling. The proposed building is 50 feet in width and about 67 feet deep in length, and the building height is about 26 feet with a flat roof. The density proposed is 989 square feet per dwelling unit, and there are 7 parking spaces for the 8 units. The plan shows 4 trees and 18 shrubs, and the development also requires variances for insufficient parking and no buffering of a parking area, as well as a conditional use application to permit the multifamily dwelling in the proposed R2 zoning district. Under Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0, the site is within the established neighborhoods, mature communities policy area. So with respect to policy alignment, the applications are inconsistent with policies and design guidelines in our Winnipeg 2045, Complete Communities Direction Strategy 2.0, and the infill guidelines. Namely, the proposed 8-unit multifamily dwelling is not sensitive or complementary to the existing context. Of note, there's no precedent of multifamily dwellings on the block. There's only single family and 2-family dwellings on the block, and the proposed density is of 989 square feet per dwelling unit is 3 to 8 times higher than the other residences on the block. And then the site design and building design are also inconsistent with CCDS 2.0 policies pertaining to a high standard of urban design. Notably, the building length, flat roof, lack of front door entrances for each unit, and the 2-story building height are uncharacteristic of the residential dwellings on the block in both scale, density, and pedestrian orientation, and it poses potential land use conflict with adjacent properties. The proposed development also does not meet any of the scenarios of the preferred location criteria of the infill guidelines for a townhouse or low-rise multi-unit residential development in Area 1. Furthermore, the development does not meet the rear yard and parking guidelines for site design, and the proposal does not meet the roof pitch, entrances, and privacy guidelines for building design. The Public Service recommends rejection of the subdivision rezoning application and the associated variance and conditional use applications for the following reasons. The applications are inconsistent with policies and design guidelines. The proposed scale and residential intensity introduces a new precedent on the block and neighborhood that's neither context sensitive nor compatible with adjacent land uses. The design of the 8-unit multifamily dwelling does not mitigate land use conflicts and massing impacts on the nearby lower density dwellings. The Public Service would support a 4-plex on the subject property, which is now permitted as of right, or even a subdivision to develop 2 duplexes, one on each newly created lot. Both of these options would not require a subdivision or rezoning, would not require a parking variance, and would not require a conditional use approval under the current R1M zoning. And the Public Service believes this is the appropriate level of density for this mid-block location. That concludes my summary. Happy to take any questions.
Just out of curiosity, was the Public Service in favor of similar densities that occurred on Regent Avenue, not far from here, in the last 15 years?
I believe there's a proposal at 701 Pandora, pretty similar, just at the corner to the west. I can double check what the recommendation was. I believe there was potentially a recommendation to go to 6 units, but I can double check, and that's a corner lot as one of the main differences.
Because Pandora, unlike Regent Avenue, is actually a truck route.
Mhm.
And considered a truck route. Why would the Public Service be opposed to 8 units here at 99 feet when we did the same thing up on Regent? 1, 2, 3 locations that I know of between, I want to say the 700 block, I want to say the 600 block. I'm just curious, like I'm confused, I guess is.
Yeah, I think one of the main reasons is the mid-block location, and then Pandora actually falls under as a collector, whereas Regent is, for the most part, along the way an arterial.
The land across the street is zoned what? On the south side?
M2.
M2, so it's only short by one of the most intense industrial zoning categories possible.
Mhm.
And the Transcona Yards secondary plan called for phasing of zoning along Pandora, which this kind of strikes me as doing exactly that. But anyway, okay, no, I don't have any other questions right now. Thank you. We'll call up, is there anybody else,
So at this time, we could call forward the applicant.
Sure.
John Winthrop. If you'd like to come forward, you'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation after you state your name.
hello again, John.
Morning, been here all day. I have a presentation, of course.
So this is, you have 8 units here?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the architect?
Yeah, who's the architect? It's, well, let me pull this up here. Design, I can't remember the name. Yeah, I know them as Ernie Walters, son, Aaron, his firm.
Are they architects or are they,
Yeah, they're architects.
okay.
But I'm assuming I would go through, oh, sorry, one public. I would go through some sort of, plan approval. I'm,
Carry on.
yeah, I'm just pulling up my presentation here.
Thank you.
There we go. I'm going to skip a slide because I'm shorter. John Winthrop. I'm here on development applications. I've been at this for 209 days now. I sent over 35 emails to city staff on this matter. At no time did they ever tell me they were rejecting this. I was provided front yard alignment in January of this year, no rear yard alignment. Contacted Water and Waste Engineering, Water and Waste Collection Services in January and February regarding services. Sent over 20 emails to the area planner, manager, and director. No mention of rejection or preferences for fourplexes. I'm looking to do a low-rise residential building, 8 dwelling units, 2 stories. What is the planning issue? Well, I'm looking to do 1 dwelling unit for 989 square feet. That's 8 dwelling units. That's in a low-rise residential building defined under complete communities. The director wants 1 dwelling unit for 1,975 square feet of 4 dwelling units, which is called small scale residential. As brought up by the ward councillor, I am on Pandora Avenue, directly across from New Flyer, the Melrose neighborhood between Melrose and Bismarck. Just some policy amendments that you made earlier this year. Low-rise residential is to be located on arterial roads and collectors. Arterial roads and collectors up to 4 stories. Includes but not limited to low-rise apartment buildings and stacked townhouses on arterial roads and collectors. Small scale is to be accommodated on collectors and local streets. Collectors, local streets. They're 1 to 3.5 stories of a mixture of housing types, including semi-detached, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. These are your half amendments. I have tons of amenities within 15 minutes walking. Grocery stores, churches, service, social services, restaurants, schools, coffee shops, financial services, pharmacies, employment hub directly across the street in New Flyer, of course. Very walkable neighborhood, very bikeable neighborhood. I have a transit route going down this street, and I am within 800 meters of rapid transit or frequent transit on Regent, 5 minutes. I am on a cycling route. I am on a P2 collector, which is a full-time truck route. So I meet that criteria that you put into Plan Winnipeg at the end of June to locate low-rise residential on collectors and arterials. I meet that. Pandora's a P2 2-lane collector, no front driveways, concrete sidewalk, a multi-use pathway right in front of it, 2-hour parking, and it's a winter route. There's a concrete back lane. There's no parking restrictions on the nearby streets. Across from me is New Flyer, as I mentioned. On the sides are single detached dwellings. Surrounding lands, well, 1 block west of me is a 8-unit, 8 parking stall R2 at 701 Pandora. East to me, 1 block is a low-rise residential building between Bismarck and Hoka, done, I think, 15 years ago. maybe 2004 actually. Further to the east on the old forestry lands, the city of Winnipeg owned and sold and rezoned to low-rise residential 3-story buildings. Further, 3 blocks to the east of me is a low-rise residential between Madeline and Winona. That was rezoned only a couple years ago. They were actually finishing the landscaping a couple nights ago when I took this picture. Another low-rise residential on Pandora in the middle of the block. 4 blocks to the east of me is a low-rise residential between Winona and Bond. In fact, every block between Winona and Plessis has a low-rise building. Every block, including in the middle of the block. So between Plessis and Bond, every single block, except for this one, has a low-rise residential building. Every single block. The surrounding lands allow 1 per dwelling unit per 800 square feet. So where I'm looking to have, 1 unit per 989 square feet, and existing has 1 unit per 989 square feet. The director wants a 4-plex at 1 dwelling unit per 1975 square feet. So I'm fitting in with complete communities. I'm fitting in with surrounding context. I'm fitting in into the scale of the building is only 2 stories. We're trying to keep it purposely low. And I will quickly add that we are going to have a number of the dwelling units will be 2 units vestibule housing and 2 units are going to be affordable housing. That's my 5 minutes.
Questions? Go ahead.
Did those other rezonings to make those other
low-rise
residential buildings, did they have positive reports back from the public service?
Yeah, I believe the one at 7-1 Pandora Avenue did. I did that one. I was the planner for the area that did the 2 other buildings along Pandora, including the old forestry building.
And before again,
yeah, we were for the one I believe that Glendoney was in the middle of the block next to the vet clinic there. There was a parking lot that just got constructed. I believe that was a positive recommendation. They're just doing the landscaping right now. Number 4 on the map here. It's a P2 collector truck route directly across the street from industrial. Your complete communities amendments say put it on collectors and arterials. This is a collector. It's a heavily trafficked street. You've got a pathway right in front of it for people to ride bikes on. One would think this is where you have been locating density along Pandora Avenue, all along Pandora Avenue. This is where I think density should be going. This is where you directed complete communities to direct densities to go. Any design issues or criteria? Again, I'm made to submit designs to get something to a rezoning application. I hear that might change, but I'm happy to go through a plan approval process with the ward councillor and the community committee and get something approved. And I expect that's going to be, required.
I don't see it in the report right now.
Yeah, they recommended rejection, but I would put it to you that any kind of zoning agreement on this property should have plan approval to the EKT community committee and to the director of planning. That's been the, I'd say the practice going back 25 years now.
Any other questions, Councilor Rawadi?
No.
I don't have any. Good presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other delegations?
So that concludes those who had registered to speak in support of the application. Just to confirm, is there anyone in the gallery who would like to speak in support? Seeing none, is there anyone in the gallery who would like to speak in opposition? And is there anyone who would like to speak for information? Seeing one, we can now go to questions for the administration.
I don't have any. Any for yourself, Councilor Rawadi?
Nope.
Any questions? No. All right. I'll move right into motions. Would you like to be the chair? Is there anybody?
It would just be the rebuttal portion, but nothing's been
in any way,
said.
shape, or form? No. Okay. Okay. Councilor Rawadi has a chair. I'm going to move that the Winnipeg Public Service Report be taken as read.
All's in favor? Opposed? Carried.
I'm going to move receipt of public representation be concluded.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
I'm going to move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service not be concurred in, and that the said rezoning application be approved. with the following amendment, that plan approval, subject to EKTCC plan approval, namely elevations, landscaping, parking, garbage, walkways, all subject to plan approval at this community committee. But to approve the application. That's before us today for the 8 units.
Okay, all's in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah.
Supporting reasons will be,
May I request that we make the approval conditional on the entering into a servicing agreement if required, consistent with schedule?
yeah, sure, we don't have one here today.
We do have one here today.
Oh, I didn't delete that.
That's because our
Yeah.
we recommended rejection.
Oh, yes, yeah. Well, no, you definitely have to have a servicing
So
agreement.
we
Is there anything that should be
Just-
flagged in that servicing
just
agreement that we
TSR
should be,
payment,
we're not making them pay for
just the regional land drainage.
the regional, all right.
That's it.
Water and waste, yeah, yeah. All right,
Just want to make sure we have,
sure, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just get the language here. So that was just for zoning agreement or just servicing?
Service agreement.
Just
Yeah.
servicing?
The ACG, yeah. Okay, so I'll move that.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you just enter into if required, servicing. Sorry.
Approval of EKT.
We're not charging for the AT path that we put in through federal money.
We are not.
Okay.
So then, so I just want to make sure, subject to entering into a servicing agreement. Just repeat the wording there that you have.
I should find,
Yeah.
let me grab a good word.
And subject to plan approval.
And plan, we'll look at plan approval as well.
Okay, I'll move.
Motion
that.
carried, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Supporting reasons, it's been cited by Mr. Winthrop and myself. Similar bills all along this area, both on Regent and on Pandora. And it's consistent with the secondary plan called the Transcona Industrial Yards. So those are my comments, Mr. Chairperson.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye,
Opposed, carried.
and I'm gonna move that this application be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee has made a recommendation on this matter that will now proceed to council. No further representations are permitted on the subdivision and rezoning. All persons registered for the public hearing will receive notice when the matter is to be considered by council.
I'll pass the chair back to you.
We do still have
We have
the
the
conditional use and the
Oh,
variance.
yeah,
Two more
yeah.
motions.
Never mind.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll stay in the chair.
On the variance, I'm gonna move that the Winnipeg Public Service report be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'm gonna move that receipt of public representation be concluded.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried.
To move that in accordance with section 254 and subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter, the conditional use is consistent. And does not, with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan, does not create a substantial adverse effect on amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property, adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway, and D is compatible with the area in which the property be affected is situated. Supporting reasons the same as before. The only thing I would add is that there's demand for housing in the area, affordable housing. I'm glad to hear that. I think it was 2 units are going to be affordable, so that's a very positive. Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And I'm impressed with the elevations that they take line. That we'll still look at. I'm going to move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service not be concurred in and the conditional use be approved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
We'll move that the public hearing with respect to this application be concluded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered.
Sorry, that was the conditional use. Now the variance. Okay. I'll move that the report of the public service be taken as read.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And move that the receipt of public representations be concluded.
All those in favor? Opposed,
Aye.
carried.
I'm going to move that in accordance with subsection 2473 of the City of Winnipeg Charter. The variance is consistent with Plan Winnipeg and any applicable secondary plan does not create some adverse effect on amenities, use, safety, and convenience of the adjoining property and adjacent area, including an area separated from the property by a street or waterway. C is the minimum modification of the zoning bylaw required to relieve the injurious effect of the zoning bylaw on the applicant's property, and D is compatible with the area in which the property to be affected is situated. Same supporting reasons.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'm gonna move that the recommendation of the Winnipeg Public Service be concurred in, or not concurred in, and that the variance be approved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
I'm gonna move that the public hearing with respect to this application.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Please note that the committee's decision with respect to this application may be appealed. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the order issued, which will be mailed to all persons registered. And then Councillor Rawadi does, I believe, have an item of new business.
All right,
Thank
we're
you.
gonna close public hearings. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Reopen on the regular agenda. All in favor of those carried.
Suspension of the rules.
Why move suspension of the rules on your item? All in favor of those carried.
Whereas Main Street is a major arterial roadway in the city of Winnipeg, and whereas traffic volumes are significant on Main Street and continue to increase, especially with new residential and commercial development in both the city of Winnipeg and the rural municipality of West St. Paul. And whereas Main Street north of Red River Boulevard does not have a center median, making turns across multiple lanes of traffic is challenging, particularly at times of day when traffic volumes are highest. And whereas only a small portion of Main Street within the city of Winnipeg has a speed limit of 70 kilometers an hour and is entirely in the area without a center median. Therefore, be it resolved that the Study Policy Committee on Public Works direct the Winnipeg Public Service to lower the speed limit on a small portion of Main Street within the city of Winnipeg, north of Red River Boulevard, from 70 kilometers an hour to 60 kilometers an hour. Therefore, be it further resolved that the Standing Policy Committee on Public Works refer the cost of doing the design work of adding a center median, sidewalk, and land sewers to the 2026 budget review process. Again, there's only a very small portion of North Main that is not divided. We've added a big apartment block across from the Shooters Golf Course. We've got the condo development that, you know, has awkward turning challenges to get out of it. We've got a new potential Costco going up in West St. Paul inside the perimeter highway. And again, because of all this, making those turns across the traffic is becoming more dangerous and more complicated. The impacts of a accident are far lower at 60 kilometers an hour than 70. There's only a very, very small portion. It's really basically from Fernbank to the city limit.
How many meters?
Basically the width of the trailer park and if you're looking at the
So a couple hundred meters.
couple hundred meters. So it's not a major piece. I do, however, would like to see the center median extended to our areas of Main Street, believe it or not, Main Street. Without a sidewalk, we do need to do a little bit of urbanization here. So I am asking that at least we get working on the design work so that we can figure out what needs to be done.
What is the Henderson stuff happening?
28 through 2030.
Oh, really?
I know.
Okay.
Again, in part, I'm kind of happy to see it wait until the work on La Jamodier is done because that's yeah, it's gonna take the next 2 seasons.
Good motion. Any discussion? Anything else you'd like to add to it? Or?
No.
No. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Anything else? Councilor Waddy moves adjourned.
So moved.
In favor, opposed,
Aye.
carried.
Pardon me?